Futures looking to bounce back here from a third straight negative week right across the board for the NASDAQ, the S&P, and the Dow. We are ever so slightly higher here this morning. More pressure coming back in, however, for big tech, specifically ahead of the start of big tech earnings coming up this week. We'll get all of them, essentially, except for Apple. Tesla set to lead things off, coming off what happened going back to last week, down 4% here this morning for Tesla so far in pre-market trading. More price cuts right across the board. That is the NASDAQ. That's a weekly chart. What an ugly candle for the NASDAQ. 1, 2, 3 now red in a row. There's the S&P looking very similar. Pretty ugly weekly candle right across the board. The Dow as well, maybe faring a little bit better than the rest. But I just saw UBS downgrading all of big tech essentially this morning. With some negativity coming across for the big seven anyways. But yeah, there's Tesla, 4.2%. Huge gap down. I mean, just took out session lows right now, 4.2%. More price cuts, as I said, coming through this morning right across the board. Widespread as well, trying to make some adjustments here.
Yeah, tough look. Li Auto in China as well, really taking it on the chin, down well over 7% in pre-market trading. Not specific to Li Auto, but just to give you guys an idea that these price cuts are affecting other electric vehicle automakers, specifically the Chinese. Crypto also on watch, Brendo, as we knock on the door of 66,000 again. Nice move over the weekend.
Yeah, a little bit of a bounce, or trying to be anyways. You and I were just talking before we came on here. They're selling Tesla going into earnings with a lot of question marks, obviously, hanging over this report to come. On the demand side of things, on the monthly side of things, we were just talking about, I was reading an article on the weekend about Pepsi. Apparently they have, I think it was 30 of the semi trucks. They're supposed to be at 100 on the road right now. So a lot of questions needing answered from Elon coming up. There's the overall market though. Pre-market here, we are gapping to the upside on a 15-minute chart, trying to hold some of the afternoon levels, but pretty negative session right out of the gate on Friday. We just went straight to the downside, 0.5%, tough to see up there, but 0.5% for the NASDAQ currently. Lots to get to this morning, guys. Happy Monday.
Yes, good morning. Happy Monday, everybody. And look, I think we got to buckle up this week, although I have good news. According to Randy, forget about that third off that FSD is. According to Randy, our automotive expert, he says full self-driving is going to be free in 3 years, although that's just his opinion. I don't know. If you think that's true, then you might also think that this coffee tastes like swamp water, Sean. But we'll talk.
Well, I mean, yeah, swamp water. Yeah, that was a good one. Good break into the. This is not swamp water, though. This is a nice.
No, it's absolutely not. Check out the podcast because
you know what I meant when I said swamp water.
Sean, you know before you even before it got out of your mouth in the pod, you probably knew Neil would know exactly what swamp water is.
I think everybody that went to our school would know. Like, we did that enough.
Dude, it was first of all, that was like a rite of, it was a rite of passage. You just did it. And even if you didn't like it, you did it at least once.
Yeah.
Just because that was the kind of thing that, you do dumb stuff.
I don't think my kids do that. I don't think my kids do that, though.
Yeah, but I didn't even.
They just go right for the iced tea.
I didn't know it was still a thing. Like, I knew it was a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was still a thing.
Yeah. Let us know in the chat if you know what swamp water is all about.
It's delicious. But yeah, it's good.
Adara does.
Oh, goodness.
Does. Winnipeg in the building.
There was so much moving on Friday that I think the SSR list is sick. Oh, there she is.
Yeah, the SSR list.
Oh God.
You finally get a little bit of a bump up in the Dow. It was just a tech wreck on Friday, basically. Yeah, that was the worst thing to see there. You had SMH now pulling back, I think 14 or 17% from its highs. So if you kind of wanted to pick your poison a little bit here and say, hey, this is what I'm leaning towards. Like, I haven't bought any indexes yet, or I haven't bought anything in this dip. And in fact, sold on Friday a little bit. So I think there's more coming. But I wonder about the SMH. I talked about the Dow. I think that's a good spot. And I think SMH down a little bit more as well. So I'm not worried about picking which names we want, because NVIDIA was and is SSR today. So on Friday, we went down 10% plus, almost on the nose. We rebounded a little bit into the end of the day. Actually, Well, I guess in the aftermarket we pulled back down, but at the end of the day we bounced up from that 755 up to 764. So now we're hovering right around pretty much Friday's close. Even though it shows up 1% and you're right here, we've already been high, like we are at 780, now you're at 770 and starting to go lower. I think NVIDIA's breaking this bottom here today and going lower. So let's wait to see. I'm actually pretty bearish once again, big surprise on the market right now, but we'll have to figure it out. I've got some ideas. I'm just waiting for a couple more setups before I post the last one. Very interesting that we see Bitcoin down here at 66. So, I mean, I think that's a good thing because a lot of people nervous about what Bitcoin and what the halving might do to this 66,000. So now all it means is it's just cutting the supply of Bitcoin. It's making it harder to produce a Bitcoin, thus supply will be harder to come by. So I think that's a good thing as long as demand stays there and people like it. Bitcoin today, nice mover. You saw Coinbase up, I think 2%-ish or so. We'll see where about 1.89%. But as you can see, some of the names are fading off of some of their pre-market highs. Let's see what happens here today. 8:36, and we're getting busy already.
All right, a few things of note. Here's Salesforce, one of them gapping to the upside this morning. Just on note, apparently they're going to abandon the Informatica deal that came up last week. So big gap up. There are a few things that are nicely positive. We're actually up here, that's a daily chart, but pretty ugly on Friday as well. 3 days in a row, in fact, gapping to the upside here for CRM. As you mentioned earlier, the crypto side of things also a little bit higher this morning as well, coming off a couple of days in a row here, back to the upside after holding 60,000 once again at the bottom.
Yeah, an interesting look here. I was reading an article this morning about the mining response, the miners, like the Hut 8s, the Riots, the Maras, and how they're going to fare after this halving event that took place on Friday. So I was reading this article here, and basically, to get one Bitcoin, they have to authenticate, about 210,000 transactions. So they're looking at different ways that they can maintain profitability. So I'll be looking to see how they fare today. I saw Mara up was about 3% here. But to build on your point, Brendo, with respect to Salesforce, I believe here, who's giving them a nod? Jefferies, thank you. $350 price target, up to 360 there.
Yeah, so a few things. You got to look for them, but a few things not terribly negative this morning. As far as economic data or anything like that to worry about today, there's really absolutely nothing as far as today is concerned. Tomorrow we'll get PMI, some manufacturing data at 9:45, and then 10 o'clock some home sales. You got to go all the way to the end of the week for the big one, though. PCE, the inflation data, back on watch. Again, not until Friday, though.
Absolutely, and you know what? I got to get with the times here, apparently. Only chumps don't drink their coffee with a straw.
Ouch.
It's just a better way to go.
Ouch.
I had to, come on, Sharif, I haven't even said anything about it in like months.
You don't drink coffee from a straw, dude?
Well, I mean, I said I was lame. I'm being dead honest about it. Like, I can be true. You know, I can be truthful and criticize myself for not doing the right thing. It's just more clean. It sounds great to everybody when it gets caught on the hot mic, and I think it's a lot of fun. The miners are a lot of fun. What? I don't know. I don't know. I segue that back to.
Yeah, that makes sense. That should go right into Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, right into Bitcoin. You know what's interesting? Look, obviously it's bad for the miners, but when you're above 60,000, I think for the majority of them, at least I read something, the cost base. If you're above 60, then most of the miners are doing fine, even with the increase, because of how much you ran up going into the halving. And if you look at it, they were already, like Mara was getting bought before it, basically it fell right down into support, and then this was getting bought into the halving. So it was already making a nice little bounce, and you're back above the 200. So I guess continuation, to me, if you go back, when you look at that chart, you had the 200 period at 16 bucks. You actually held that support in the afternoon on Friday. Remember on Friday, when we were sort of doing that fun activity of what isn't getting destroyed today, pretty much everything, Mara was something that stood out going into the halving. It's like the sell-off had already happened, and in this particular case, you're getting some relief. So I don't wonder if you look back at this 16 level and start thinking about a bit of a bounce. So we're at 17 bucks. That was the level I liked when I left on Friday. I don't want to get too far away from that. At this point, I think this one's going to have some good moves in it just because of the base it made at 14. If it can't hold 16, it's probably headed right back to that 14 level because that's where all the price consistency and support was. So I do like that 16 level on Mara. Should be a fun one to trade post-halving. But at the end of the day, we don't want to ignore spot Bitcoin prices. The next time I see an even 65, well, I mean, we can't get away from the 65 level, but if we get back to that 70 level, I will look for a reversal trade off of that. It was a good bounce play off 60,000. The first time it got to 65, I didn't put the short on at that price, but if we see 70,000 this week, I think I will look for a false break at 70.
Yeah, I have Mara for the first time in a long time. It's going to be on the sticky note here, back to 1650. I think it's a buy down here with the halving happening already. You know, nicely that it's up. Market seems to like it, so I'm fine with that. Up to 16.5. If you get a little dip back into where we closed on Friday, I really like that long. So for me, I think it's a long down here. We already sort of talked about it last week, why we liked it down here at 14 and thought it was well worth the risk. If everything went well, then you could get back up to the upside, and it seems like the market is okay with everything, and then you had downside protection here of 14. I think this was, for swing trading, one of the easier trades that you could have put on was Mara. Just you had a definitive bottom, you had news, you had a catalyst. I like Mara, and I like it long today. That would be the one that I'd look at. Hut 8, just for another example, did catch another upgrade. I've been in and out. I was in this name and out of this name. I was lucky enough to get out of it around $12, not the very high. There was higher, but then when it came back into this area, this exact day, very lucky. Sold it into this day. Missed this, was a reverse split, a big action back up to the upside, was able to get out of it. You know what, we might have 13 down. Yeah, I think I might have got out of it on this move back up in and around here near 13. I think that's maybe, but I feel like I missed that. Anyways, whatever. I like Hut 8 here today, just not enough volume. So this is another name that's under the radar here at $7. So we've bounced off of 7 a couple times, so I think that that's a decent spot right there too. 7 and change for Hut 8. So we're not going to get down there today, but if something does happen tomorrow or Bitcoin falls on something, that's a decent level there for Hut. $7 for Hut, and then I'll see. I probably will get into Mara today, so it'll be around 1650. Hopefully, if not, we'll play dips, and it looks like the support right now is 1690-ish. So that'll be a price for me for Mara.
All right, just having a look here at TSM downside. Once again, if you remember, we got earnings back on Thursday last week. Big gap to the downside. It's continued in that direction the next 2 days here. Apparently, there's another earthquake over in Taiwan as well. So some of these getting hit on that this morning. We are gapping down here for TSM, coming into big time levels here. Got to go all the way back to the beginning of the year, essentially, for support now on TSM.
Yeah, interesting look last week, Brendo, because, I mean, it was kind of downbeat, but there was still a lot to like about the report. And then we saw ASML as well show that orders came in a little bit weaker. So overall weakness for the chips. We'll keep an eye on TSMC. It's down 1 1/3%, the only one down on my list in addition to SMCI, which is also down 1 3/4. But the rest of the chips recovering off that really bad last week, Brendo.
Yeah, especially Friday, man. The selling behind some of those NVIDIA specifically is into the close even was just intense. But TSM, guys, when we were discussing end of the week last week as well.
Like, oh, there we go. Yeah, this whole thing started last week, mostly with ASML, but then TSM didn't really help things. But if you look at on a weekly chart, you know, you can get an idea of what last week was like. Obviously, when you report, you're going to have a little bit extra volatility, but you're just not going to find a candle like this to the downside as big on TSM. All that said, it was into a pretty big rally the last half year or so. So I don't think it's like an egregious pullback. If you look at the weekly, in theory, you look at that support level and where it was consolidating forever back in 2022, and that was right in the low 120s. And it feels like that's where we're headed. So you look back and you say, where's these things going to find support? It's a big level on the daily. It's a big level on the weekly once you get down into the low 120s. The trend is your friend. And the way I'm kind of looking at it today when it comes to the chip names is the ones that aren't short sell restricted, Micron, TSM, Intel, AMD. I mean, it's most of them except for SMCI, ARM, and NVIDIA. I think those, if we get a bit of a pop, I'm just going to be looking to fade the pop because what else has changed? The only chip name that we get on a report is going to be a bad one this week, and that's going to be Intel when we get them later on in the week. So at TSM, I probably stay away from because I like the levels better on AMD, F150 and 153, and Intel 35 to 35 quarter. But I think this is about to get to a pretty key spot that you could have a temporary bounce spot on TSM at 120. I just think if you're looking for a dip buy today, there's more juice if you get a bounce in NVIDIA or ARM because they happen to be SSR than in TSM. You're just not going to get a big percentage bounce trying to chase around TSM. So not likely one that I'm going to trade, but there's some levels out there for you in the low 120s. Still going to have to prefer AMD, Intel, NVIDIA, and ARM, which is, like we always say, like stay in your lane.
Oh, man. Like, I from my daughter saying that she didn't get to say goodbye to me here today. Oh, man. All right. Love you so much.
Those are the, I mean, that's like the cutest sometimes.
Yeah. I don't really, I mean, the show can wait. All right. Okay. So basically, I wrote down here ARM. So I just finished it. I have NVIDIA as the #1 trade, but we're obviously going to get to that at some point here today. This has been the most, by far, missed. I feel like we should have made a lot of money on here, and I haven't even touched it. Like, that 120 break was huge. We wrote down on Friday, I mean, I'm looking at this right here. Smashed the 100 break will be one of the best trades. I mean, and it just absolutely cranked that $100 level. It didn't even like, I mean, you went all the way down to 95 bucks, made a little bit of a move back to 97, then ranked to 93, made a little bit of a move back to 94.50, then moved all the way back to 91, then gave back $2 to 93 and change, then tanked another 4, then gave back $1, then went another 5. So yeah, I mean, I'm shorting ARM. So any kind of a bump up. I mean, I wrote down 94 here for ARM. I don't know if we're going to do that, 94, 95, but that's a level for me there, 93. I mean, anywhere in here, shorting ARM on any kind of a bump up. You could get a little bit of a relief rally. I think we're, what is that, up 1%? Yeah, so up 1% here today, fine, give me it. Like, I want to short everything, so we'll wait. I do have a long down here, and it'll be Snapchat. We'll talk about that when that comes through. But I like the long on Snapchat. I like short Tesla, ARM, NVIDIA, and then I do like a little bit of Amaro long too. So, yeah. Anyways, all right, we're gonna do that. I'm gonna see if I can get a hold of my daughter.
All right, there he is. Steve Gomez back with us from Trade Ideas to kick off the week with a lot to look forward to. Steve, I wanted to get your take on earnings season in general to kick things off here this morning, but specifically when we get to this week, because this is the week when it comes to big tech. Is it the type of situation where it's a wait and see for you, or you take your foot off the gas? How do you play this week when it comes to earnings season?
Well, as I told you last week, and it's great to be back, thank you. It's still dark here on the West Coast. I went 90% cash, if you recall, last week, and based on the charts that we were looking at. So, price often precedes news. I'm going to look at the footprints in the sand and the technicals every time to give me an idea. And in the back of my mind, guys, I hate to say it, May is right around the corner. Selling May. So I've got that axiom in the back of my mind, and so far the technicals are kind of lining up. And I see you got my first chart. So we're going to start here on what we were looking at last week. NASDAQ in particular was just holding that 50-day moving average. And I liken these trends like a mountain climber, build a base camp, get acclimated, move higher, build a base camp, get acclimated, move higher. But eventually you run into some thin air and it gets a little tough. And I have never really seen, coming into last week, a chart as tight as those cues looked a week ago. Again, this is last Monday, as we all know. And so what I was seeing as a visual trader, if you go to the next slide, this is pretty much what I had in my mind. I wanted no part of hoping that we were going to resolve out of that bull flag and move higher after the giant move that we've already had. So, a penny saved is a penny earned. If the market falls 5 or 10% and you're in cash, there's no harm and no foul. It's a great defensive play. And again, this is in my long only account, my 401k retirement. I do have another account, which I'll talk about some other things I'm doing. But to answer your question, the price is preceding the news. I feel like it's just it's giving us kind of an omen to be cautious in earnings season, and then again sell in May and go away.
Yeah, and we were alluding to the fact that it's, especially the Teslas of the world being sold off so harshly going into these reports is telling as well. So give us a look here at a few things you're paying attention to this week.
Sure. Let's see. The NASDAQ I wanted to show you. So technically on Mondays, Trade of the Week gives, Trade Ideas gives a Trade of the Week, which is curated by myself. I'll look at Michael's scans. I'll look at many different scans. And the mandate is to go long and to find something to go long. And I just don't feel like that's the issue this week, to try and force people to catch a falling knife. I mean, if there's ever a caveat for catching a falling knife, that chart right there is showing us. So I'm drawing a line. I love moving averages. I think that 200-day moving average is in play. But the big question is, do we have a bounce first, a low volume 2 to 3 day bounce that needs to be faded before we get there? Or do we get crashy and just head right down there? That's probably the less likely of the two scenarios. But there's no trade of the week this week. The trade of the week is CASH. Cash can be defensive. It worked for me in my long only account the last week, as you can see. So I'm just a proponent of waiting for things to sort themselves out. There's no reason to be a hero and try and jump in just because you see a gap fill or a level of a pivot level approach. Let this price action sort itself out. That's the way I like to do it. And if you move forward, we're on the weekly. I saw you mention that as well on your chart earlier before I came on. I think that's right around 390. That's the 50-week moving average. So we broke the 50-day moving average. Now I feel like we're heading for we broke the 50-day moving average. Now I feel like we're heading down here for some lower levels. But again, the question is how do we get there? Is it a straight shot, or is it the road, the mountain road? I'm not sure.
All right, a few other things. We'll get into more semiconductor related earnings coming up fairly shortly here as well. What are you seeing as far as technicals are telling you when it comes to that group in general being so important this year?
Yeah, I want to look at that chart for sure, because it definitely was the leadership on the way up. NVDA, of course, and AMD, and a lot of great names. But this SMH chart, again, just tells the story. And I kind of illustrated there again, do we have a question mark of a small fade bounce up? I heard you guys maybe talking about, sitting there waiting and wait to sell the rips. And I think that's the right call. Going back to my mountain climber analogy, what we have here is the other side of the mountain. There's no more base camps to build. The climbers are finding their way down quickly. It's just a matter of how we're going to get there. And, all good things come to an end. The SMH, the semis have had a wonderful leadership rally. But right now, the technicals are just telling me, be careful. Don't try and be a hero. I think you guys are right on the desk over there. Look for pops to be fading right now. I feel like that's the action that's probably preferred.
Great stuff. When it comes to anything else catching your eye this week, is it wait and see across the board, or is there a couple of areas you want to pay attention to?
Yeah, it's wait and see across the board. I did mention that shorting is a difficult thing for people because you've got to turn the chart upside down, and I'm visual, so I like to use levered ETFs sometimes. Now I know hashtag DK levered ETFs are good for maybe a 5-6 day real good momentum move, and then you want to get out because each day in a choppy market they're going to reset. You're going to get DK. You don't want those. So I love to use levered ETFs. So here we are. And I am actually long. I'm long over the weekend coming in SSG. I wanted to ride that break in the semiconductors using a levered ETF. And this is a great example of how you're still buying charts going from lower left to upper right, but you're participating on the short side. So just a reminder for people who aren't comfortable shorting, you can still look at a chart and buy the lower left and hope it goes to the upper right and make money when things go down. But again, a caveat on a stock like SSG here, there's going to be decay when there's not momentum. So as long as there's momentum, I'm going to stay in this trade. I'm fully prepared for this trade to maybe back up a little bit and chop around, but I feel like there's a secondary push coming. And if we go to the next chart, I mean, it just dovetails with what I talked about last week with Brian Shannon's 4-stage infographic here. If you're looking at that inverse ETF like SSG, it looks to me like it's coming out of stage 1, if you will, and getting ready to make a big move. So I feel like the semis are broken. I'm going to go ahead and say that based on the technicals. I think that's just too much damage has been done to back up and get back on the same track. So where is the strength? Well, the strength continues for me in terms of stocks. Is going to be in the gold miners. All the commodity stocks, energy stocks, as Michael said, anything you drop on your foot, I think continues and continues to be strong. This GDX chart is in what I call clean air. It's above all of its moving averages as opposed to the indexes, which are being repressed under all their moving averages. So I'm continuing to watch for opportunities in the gold miners. And just to follow up on last week, I am still in HYMC. I mentioned it was a very volatile trade. I'm only in half size, so it's bouncing around a little bit. Silver, boy, I don't know what happened to silver overnight. That's a topic for another show. But a lot of times they really try and hammer the silver traders in the early morning, and we might get a reversal. We'll see, but I'm still in there. And just to finish off, cash is a defensive position tactic. If you don't want to short, I don't blame you. But going to cash was a good move for me over the last week, and I don't feel like I missed anything.
A ton to look forward to this week as well, including, as I mentioned early on, Steve, more inflation data coming up at the end of the week with PCE on Friday. So we'll cap it off at that. Best of luck and stay safe in these questionable times at best, going into what's going to be a wild ride as far as earnings are concerned. Steve Gomez over at Trade Ideas, we appreciate your time as always.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, big thanks to Steve there. And speaking of that silver market, like SLV, like just down 5%. And I see some people in the chat, buy silver, not gold. Well, I'm not the one that says it, but everyone talks about how manipulated a market that this ends up being. And sometimes it just doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense. But you gotta be careful with it. At the end of the day, like if you're into commodities, you trade them, and that's your baby, then pick a couple and get familiar with them. It's no different from if you trade equity, right? Like you try to stay in the names that you're comfortable with. And if I'm trading chip names, I kind of know where I'm going to go. And if I'm trading oil names, I know the equities that I'm going to like. If I'm trading Bitcoin miners, I know the ones that I'm more comfortable with, because I think it does get a little bit tricky in SLV. And I can't agree more with the whole notion that the semis are broken. I think we can all see that. One of the things that was actually pointed out in the podcast was how badly it was AMD actually that Sean was mentioning. I mean, AMD had already pulled back and was in bear territory before we had Friday, and now you're just getting a few other names joining them there, Brendan.
This portion of the show brought to you by our friends at Alfonso AI. Want to beat the market? Then you need Alfonso AI's powered stock ratings. Their top picks have surged over 100% since October 2022. Scan the QR code. Get 50% off on the Pro monthly subscription with code TRADER50. Let's get some analyst moves for you this morning. Adara has those ready over at the screen.
SE kicking off this list here, up 2.5% after this upgrade from BOVESPA Securities. Stifel upgrading Papa John's here. Northrop Grumman getting an upgrade from Alemic Global Advisory, and the benchmark company upgrading Hut 8. So lots of miners and Bitcoin related names on watch here. Cisco getting a downgrade here from JP Morgan Chase. Lucid getting downgraded here by Citigroup amidst a kind of turbulent time for some of these EV stocks with a lot of price cuts from Lee and Tesla, so LCID definitely on watch. Infidera getting downgraded by Needham, and Mizuho downgrading Healthpeak, guys.
You saw the miners in there, but Cisco, that is a boring stock? Is that the way to think about it? It's definitely a super range-bound stock. I mean, if you talk about things potentially breaking down,
Thank you so much.
like Cisco just
hands are
cannot seem to
freezing.
hold the $50 level.
Are your hands freezing?
My hands are freezing every day.
Okay, good, yes.
And it's going to get cold if Cisco breaks 47. That said, it's not the best day trading stock in the whole world. Why is it a fail that our hands are cold? They're always cold up in here. I'm just saying.
It was Fabian that hit that.
Oh, Fabian hit that? Who hit the fail? Sharif hit the fail.
Captain Lee Otto over there?
Yeah, I know, Captain Lee. Not everyone, when it's freezing cold in here, can wear short sleeves, Sharif.
Oh, man,
I'm just
it's
saying.
freezing over here. It's
Like,
freezing
I don't even understand how he's in short sleeves. It is cold in the office. It always is until the market starts heating things up for us. And even then,
Yeah, they call it might be a cold day in the market today.
if you lead when it's a down market, you got to be short. Otherwise, that's not the kind of heat that you're looking for. But look, Cisco, maybe I'll set an alert for it if it breaks 47. I just feel like you want to be in these chip names today. That's where the trade is going to be. Some of the miners will be in play. You mentioned HUD 8, but I don't think I've never traded HUD 8. We've traded Morrow before. I think I traded Riot once. So you always stick to your lane, right? So I was just saying that with commodities. Like if you like gold, that doesn't necessarily mean you want to go over there and trade silver because that market never seems to make any sense to me whatsoever. Why is silver down 5%? I have no idea.
I like that Steve Gomez guy. Anybody that agrees, is good in my book. But no, it's good to have different takes. But I'm the same way as him. We talked about this for a while, switching over, getting into cash, and then perhaps even, if you're in cash now and you are a little bearish, I guess. I've never held gold as a hedge or anything like that. But that was a nice pullback on Friday as well. And now again, another 2.5% or so right now for GLD. So this is getting interesting as well as we start to pull back down. So I do agree with Mr. Gomez there that we did have a opportunity to get into cash. The sell-off still, I think, has a ways to go. We'll talk about that as the market opens up and as we get some new ideas here. But I just wonder for anybody that feels like they missed a little bit of that gold run, you're getting it back to like last week. Obviously, the pullback would have to be a lot more dramatic than that for it to be considered anything significant. But that's a nice little pullback for GLD. So I just didn't want people to sleep on possibly going into gold instead of cash. So silver, wow, silver's down 5% today as well. So, all right, so some of these commodity names, are starting to slip up here a little bit. So, yeah, what's so funny? NASDAQ down, everything down, gold down, silver down, Bitcoin up. We're just getting started. I mean, I think Bitcoin is going to be quite the mover here over the next little while, which is why we got Mara on our watch. So, yeah, gold, silver down, Bitcoin up, market nicely up, actually. Holding now 0.7, trying to take out pre-market highs right now. I mean, maybe we're wrong looking short, but I still like to fade the pop situation. So we'll still be looking for that. But nicely done right now. Market's starting to go to the upside. I think, I don't know about you guys on the desk, but I was still thinking pretty bearish today. We'll see what happens. Nice to be wrong, I guess, if you're long.
There's a lot of commitment behind this move, but we'll see. Join VinFast in redefining mobility with a brand new innovative sales model like their unique battery subscription model in Indonesia. VinFast has continued to expand their reach with 16 dealers across 7 U.S. states. Currently, VinFast, where technology meets sustainability. Let's get a check of the overall market here at 9 o'clock. Sharif's going to do that for us.
5,003, guys. That's where we closed out on Friday after that huge move down the afternoon. Look how far we got down. We got down into that 49.63 area. We were able to bounce back up and close above 5,000. So let's see now if we can hold above 5,000 on today. We'll say that that's the support level to the high side, 50.50. We're currently at 50.33.
If you have not done so yet, make sure you grab that. Go to the website and wait for the pop-up and enter your email address, and then get the watch list for free. Has everything you need to know on it every single day in the pre-market before we come on at 8:30. So here's the bounce currently on NVIDIA. As I mentioned, it looked like it was being faded out there a little bit, basically back to some support levels from aftermarket on Friday. We'll see if we can't get going in the right direction. That was a really, really ugly day on Friday for NVIDIA.
Yeah, Brendo, I think this was all precipitated by the TSMC basically saying that the orders came in a little bit light, and that was kind of a little bit of a top there for the chips. To get back into winning ways, though, we have several notable companies, the hyperscalers, as you call them, coming and reporting next week. And if they report they're buying these GPUs, we could see NVIDIA pop again. Who knows?
Yeah, a little bit of volume here, guys, coming back into the upside. But, I mean, this was an interesting note as well. They're teaming up with Japan's Tech Institute for Hybrid Supercomputer Project.
Huh.
An EV computer is coming.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, it's an interesting anecdote, but
A what computer?
EV. Again, it's an interesting story. I don't know that it's going to be the driving force to NVIDIA today. NVIDIA, on my 15-minute chart, when you're looking for places to short pops, and this is an SSR one, so I think all the SSR names, I would suggest if you're looking to short pops in them, those are the ones you're the most patient. So that's NVIDIA, SMCI, and ARM, because they were down over 10%, just meaning it can bounce a little bit faster. So if there is, I always talk about the SSR setup as being very specific. Like it has to drop down into like a key price level, like a 750 or like a 760, show a bounce off that level, show like a little bit of a higher low or a wick bottom, and then you go for a really tight stop long that's like an in and out. You're not looking to hold that generally pretty far. Usually I'm looking for VWAP on a play like that. But if you're trying to short pops on a 15-minute, you have nothing in terms of resistance levels on NVIDIA until you get to $800, which is fine because if you do get a $25 bounce on NVIDIA, that's only a quarter of the move from Friday. So that's not that crazy. Like you got to think about that for a second. NVIDIA goes up $25 from here. I know that's going to feel strong, but it does seem like that would be a reasonable push that I think would make some sense to try to get the fade in. Obviously, the SSR plays were nasty. The only difference between, like I said, say your AMDs, I almost typed ARM again, and your NVIDIA's SMCIs is when it's SSR, I just expect more volatility to the upside. AMD's got the 150 level. AMD's got the 153.5. So those are two nice lines in the sand, and when we're looking to short pops, I just want to be ready. When the market goes to a key price level or starts curling, I want the one that lines up with one of our nice little levels in here. And ARM, for 3 days in a row, obviously lamented missing the 120 break, but was short pretty much the entire day on ARM on Thursday, and then on Friday was shorted at the open, just did not manage to hold on to it long enough. Like that sucker was through 95, and we had already got, I had another short that we took later on, but did not hold it down when it got into the 80s. And you can always go back and say hindsight's gonna be 20/20. This particular name's got the 95 level, at least when you look at a 15-minute chart. That's still $7 away. So ARM, again, because it's SSR, that could bounce $7. That's a huge move, and then you go right into a nice resistance level. So you just have to be patient when it comes to the names that were down egregiously when it comes to NVIDIA, ARM, and TSMC. Like I feel like there's so much risk if you get short early and don't have yourself a good out. Because a half of the move or a quarter of the move, and that'll rip your face off in the first half an hour. So just be patient with it.
All right, just real quick here. Yeah, I should have put a GIF on here. We've been putting patient GIFs, bear dancing GIFs, all that stuff on here this whole time. Look, we have NVIDIA here, and we have ARM. So I think ARM into 94. NVIDIA, I just put a break of 758 to the downside. Now, the important thing here, obviously, I'm going to be fading pops. I mean, I want to short the market, and these are, disaster number one for me would be looking over here. So let's see if this continues. I think it does. I think there's a bigger wash. Again, shout out to Steve because we did talk also about SMH. And I said, this name probably flushing more into this 180, 190 area. Good to see that, he was talking about that as well. But for me, this NVIDIA move right here, it's at this 758. So that was the break level right there. We had broke lower, but I'm looking at this little baby shelf that's 758 or so. So that's what I'm looking at. Hopefully we can break back into there, and then we'll just tank. I'm not even waiting for that bottom of 755. Like, I don't want to give up $3. I just want to hit this short. We'll use 760, 762, 761. We'll figure out where the 50-period moving average is at that point. But I really like NVIDIA short today. Let's keep it on our radar and definitely have a look. I think a more realistic short that we could get into right away would be ARM. So up into this area, we talked about this, anywhere from like 92 up to 95. I know that's a big range, but that top right there is 93.50. So I feel like waiting for 93, 93.50 is probably pretty good. And then you're not getting out of ARM for less than a $2 or something like that, win or loss. So watch out for ARM. And that's what we're doing right now. ARM up 2%. Let's go talk about some Tesla.
All right, let's keep going on here. Tesla to the downside to the tune of 4+% here. This daily chart doesn't even show the story. We're actually down here right now on this daily chart, so the gap is huge, to say the least. 4+%. Yeah, some price cuts coming through across the board on basically all models as they look to find some sort of stability going into their earnings report. I mean, you were just talking about the year-to-date number. I'll let you talk about that. I read a headline this morning, and I just double-checked because I didn't believe it initially. But XOM is 474 billion market cap as of this morning. Tesla's, I mean, it's lower than this now, but was 468. So XOM even back above Tesla as far as market cap.
Yeah, Brendo, it continues to go down below 450 billion currently as the price is on the precipice of breaking that $400 area, guys. Tesla year to date is down 43.3%. Here's what we're looking for. So last week we got the news of the cuts, 10% or so, and then prior to that, we also had news that they were going to focus more on the robo-taxi than they were the actual Model 2, which had Elon responding that Reuters is lying. So we won't have to wait for long. Tomorrow, after the bell, we'll find out exactly what is going on and what they're going to be focusing on.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the Chinese EVs coming up here as well, but Li Auto with a huge price cut over in China as well announced this morning, guys.
Dump it on Li Auto, but I guess we're talking Tesla first. Oh, Chinese EVs are going to be last, so we'll get there. Actually, Ty behind us was just talking about Tesla filling in some gaps. On a weekly chart, this has been a short, like Tesla is just different from everything else in that most things are starting to pull back and you're getting, whether it happened on Friday or it happened like a week ago, like you actually had the curl and the trend down recently. Tesla's just not that story. If anything, that was a trend that broke down big time through the 150 level. And now that that's happened on a weekly chart, you have a monster gap fill. I mean, an absolute monster gap fill down to $100. It doesn't mean you're going to get there like today or anything like that. But I think you got to be looking for the trend continuation. It's already down 4% today. So the difference being when I sat down this morning and was starting to look at things, I liked 145 into 147. That was when we were at $143. At this point, you know, can you get up to 145, 147, and what does it look like? So I might have to make a bit of an adjustment and start looking at the pre-market highs a lot of times. But I am looking to short pops in Tesla. I would not be surprised if this thing gets to like $100. There was a question in the chat. Someone's like, when is Tesla getting to $100? I'm like, I don't know, like NBA Finals or after earnings. Like, you take your pick. I don't even know when the NBA Finals are. I know the playoffs just started. So I think you have a chance to get to that 100 level, though, and especially if they disappoint on Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, you could be down. Yeah, you could be down 20% in a heartbeat, and that puts you at 120 or a little bit lower than that, or a little bit less higher than that. All right. So this is I just picked up random sticky notes that were on my desk here. Tesla short 155. Tesla short 152. Tesla short 159. Like, I'm not even making this up. Not on this one. Tesla. Long 155. Okay. Tesla short 168. Tesla 260 short. Oh my God. I mean, look at this note that I just found. I don't know how. I mean, if you keep enough notes, you'll find them all over the place. But you're not gonna be able to see it anyways. Tesla 260 short. Tesla 205 short. Tesla. Oh, here's a bad one. 177 long. Anyways, needless to say, It's on here again today, and it's going to be the obvious level. I didn't even have much to say about it. It's on the top right of the sticky note. And I just said, I mean, Neil mentioned it as well. I said, look, the easiest and most obvious trade is back into Friday's close. So shorting 145, 146, 147, I mean, that's not rocket science. So that's an easy trade. I feel like you have to have that on and then watch out for it breaking 147.50 to the top. That to me would be sort of getting enough of the garbage out of there. Bless you, bless you, bless you. Oh, is that the Brankles?
That was Brankles.
Oh, what's up, Brankles? All right, so yeah, Brankles killed it on the show when you weren't here, by the way. I was like really worried for both of our jobs, to be honest with you. But here we go.
Funny dude, man.
2:30. Anyways, what I'm getting at is if you look at the chart, I think that whole last hour, if we can come over here, Fabian, quickly, just quickly, and then we'll go back. Just that whole last hour, if you take that, then that will turn me bullish. So other than that, I want to fade all of these pops, and honestly, it's probably going to be a smash through 140. So let's just be patient with that smash because it's only 15 minutes now until the open. We don't even have the imbalances out yet, which is something else I wanted to show you. Pretty mixed and pretty light on the board right now. We'll get NASDAQ at 925, and then you'll see as all of those start to come through. So we'll be patient with that and wait for NASDAQ imbalances. But for right now, Tesla, the worst of the bunch.
All right, let's go on to social media land. This bill gets passed in Washington over the weekend, potentially helping the Metas of the world, the Snapchats. I mean, Snapchat not as much, but 1.7% right now to the upside for Meta here this morning. There's also a positive note from KeyBank. They lowered the price target, but maintained an overweight on Meta going into earnings for this one as well.
Yeah, this will be a good look for Snap and Meta, so keep your eyes on those names. Yeah, so previously the bill was supposed to ban TikTok within 6 months. That's the original form of the bill that passed the House, but that was not to the liking of the Senate. So now it's been extended over a year. But guys, it is widely anticipated that the sale will take place without the algorithm, and that's really what makes TikTok tick here, Brendo. It is the algorithm. One out of Adara's book, I had to do it.
That was early or a lot for Monday morning here. No, well done. Yeah, and there's still, let's be honest, there's still a few hurdles for this to actually get through before it becomes a done deal. Just as you were speaking there, benchmark popping up here. Benchmark reiterating hold on Meta as well. So trying to get back to session highs here, guys, for Meta today.
Meta, Snapchat. I mean, Snapchat's got the 8% short float. Snapchat, I think Snapchat just kind of has like easier levels to trade off, if that makes any sense. I think it does. You look at the support that it had both on Friday and then with the 50-period moving average down at $11. You got the $12, which is a 200-period moving average, and resistance up top for a bit of a long break. Just think, you buy into there, and if you break it out, you're probably breaking out 12s today on Snap versus Meta. So I generally just prefer the chart or the stock or the vehicle for trading that has the more clear entries and exit points. If you get underneath 1090, I kind of know that I'm wrong, and you get out so that you don't have to fill a gap into 1050. So that's much easier to sink my head into on Snapchat than Meta today anyways. We trade Meta before, but I just like Snapchat a little bit better. And we've even seen, like, when you have the headlines come in, typically speaking, Snapchat will give you the bigger percentage move when they get the TikTok headlines. So whether or not this gets through the Senate or when it, however long it does end up taking, I think you just want to play the momentum today. This one's got the 8% short interest. It's got the more clear levels.
Yeah, look, I have Snapchat written on here as the second trade idea for the day. So I don't think we're going to dip down into $11. That was just a level that we're going to be looking at. So I just think this is the opportunity that we're looking for. TikTok tailwinds here will definitely help. I don't see a negative catalyst. They have earnings coming Thursday night for Snapchat. So I feel like we've seen monster moves on earnings. Like this was one, this was the other. And right now you're just hovering around deciding to do something else. So let's be as patient again with this. But I feel like we could break this $12 here today. And that's not rocket science either. But Snapchat breaking through 1180, I feel like that's going to be a long right off the open. But again, up 4%. into a market that I'm still bearish on, even though we're up almost 1% or 0.75% here. I'm going to wait for it, but again, if we take this, then we'll probably use that as support. So watch out for 1180. I don't think it's a smash long level, but I really like what they're talking about. There's yesterday's, Friday's close. So any dips into Friday's close, you know, it's like any stocks that are down right now, I want to use Friday's closing price as a level, and any stocks that are up, it's sort of something similar. But now that I look at this and it's still stronger, remember, when we write the sticky note, you're down here at 1140, 1150. You know, you've now bumped up. So now it's looking like we can't get down here. But we were just here 10, 15 minutes ago, you know, like, I mean, I guess it's about 20 minutes ago. Lots of opportunity to come back in. I like Snapchat on pullbacks. Let's change our price to where we'll start to buy in and around 1130, in and around this area, and then we'll get that garbage out of there. If we fall back down in, let's buy more. So I like Snapchat down here around mid 11s. If we I guess a third of the way through 1130, if the market really tanks, I think this is a name that we'll be fine with. So you saw me dance a little bit with Shopify. The problem with Shopify on Friday, we only had one long on Shopify and we lost on it. Or one long on the whole day, sorry, and it was Shopify. I really liked 70. They had an upgrade. It does end, I think it ended over, where did it close at? Because I think it ended near, okay, so it closed horrible, but that was because of that last close. But we started to get going there through the end of the day, and then this happened. At the end of the day, Shopify is still a tech name, so it got included in that. But this is another name that I like to pick up something on dips. So Lululemon's had a couple good move backs, so has Nike.
Chilling.
95 for Nike. I just think some of these beat up names that aren't major mega cap tech names or in the chip space have a potential to go. You know, we didn't look at SMCR. Did you talk about that? What is that at?
You know what? We didn't look at SMCR.
720. Okay, so how low were we on Friday? Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't even, that's this morning we got to 690. Okay. Yeah, well, watch out below for this one then. I mean, if you already broke 700 and touched 690 earlier today, and then for some reason have just went up $50, I think this name, if you have an option, like obviously a lot of us will trade options, this could be something as well. Either if you're going to trade it on a prop floor like us, there's a $4 spread right now, but they're still tradable, just less shares, and understand that your stop outs are going to have a lot of slippage. So for us, obviously we'll prefer more liquid names, but SMCI up 1% looks dangerous for a short as well.
All right, let's talk some crypto here, as we mentioned, trying to bounce to start off the new week as well. Everything as far as the equities are concerned, kind of looking like Coinbase this morning. A little gap to the upside. We're hanging out at this point. IBIT, you can have a look at the ETF, a little bit stronger with the price, underlying price as well. I mean, you mentioned this one. Mara, same story, a little bit stronger as far as the miners are concerned.
Yeah, the miners were really in focus here because the halving event has more of an effect on them than anybody else. So every time they do about 210,000 of these block transactions and that are added to the main chain, they're given exactly half the amount they were previously in the form of Bitcoin. So they've had to kind of shore up their balance sheets. They've done that by getting better software, better computer efficiency, Brendo here. And if BTC continues to trade between 60 and 70,000, apparently their EBITDA won't be as affected as much. So we'll continue to watch them.
Still I see anyways, 15% short float on that one as well.
What is that? Oh, BTC?
Yeah, I mean, Mara's that's you meant Mara, the 14 or 15% short float. That's what Brendan meant. And that's the one that tends to give you the outsized moves. Let's be real about it. So it's back, curling. I heard Brendan say on the pod that he likes smiley faces. I mean, that's more of like a Cheshire cat or something like that. That's not really like a smiley face. Like, that's pretty intense. That's like the Joker right in there.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a bit hard bounce off 14 even, but that's what happens sometimes when you get a news event like this. It will sell the news, well, sell into it, right? And then now that you've actually had the halving, you're getting a bit of a curl to the upside. And it's done this before where you have a monster gap up and you do get a chance to buy some dips, I mean, especially at the open. Now, whether or not they get through the previous close price at 16.5, I think you have a little extra volatility for it, but the 200 period lies out there. If it doesn't hold $16 today on Mara, then I think you could be testing right back the other even dollar levels, but that's where I will first be looking. And I mentioned this just on the off chance we get there. to the 70,000 level on IBIT. We did see when 60,000 held, it was one heck of a reversal trade. Like this was, IBIT's at 34, but that was a $60,000 level holding on BTC mid last week. If I see something similar up at 70,000 this week or next week, I want to look for a reversal trade at those prices. It's just something that it feels like it's a simple trade, which has happened so many times since we've gotten the ETFs at one of those big round numbers. And I think you have a chance of seeing that 70,000 in the next couple of weeks, so I want to be ready when it does. And I trade IBIT because it has better volume. Obviously, you gotta, you can just look at the levels. It's not going to say 70,000, but you know when it gets there that you're at the resistance level.
I got to give a big shout out here to some people that you mentioned the podcast. So a big shout out here to Chef Joe, who says, what a great podcast this weekend. It is funny that when we did it on Wednesday, and I was pretty bearish about everything, and then you see Friday happen. So yeah, I mean, you guys all saw that live, basically right there. So, thanks Chef Joe for watching, and thanks everybody for supporting the podcast. Go find it. A lot of funny things and a lot of good talk this weekend. So we just get right now the dropping of the NASDAQ imbalances that happen every day at 9:25. So let's go over quickly here. So I'm still about Mara, by the way. I mean, I know we're going to talk a little bit about Bitcoin. I was going to show you some of the altcoins right now because Dogecoin was nice. There's been some nice moves here over the last 24 hours, including 5 from Avalanche, Polkadot, Polygon right there, Matic as well, Solana up a bit, Dogecoin right there, 16 cents. You see over the 7-day period, Shiba Inu, 17%. So there's been a lot of nice moves. Nice to see Cardano up as well over the little bit. But right now it is altcoins that are starting to go a little bit more than the two big ones with Ether and BTC. So just watch out for that. I was going to look at, anyways, just look, a little bit of a whoosh down there for Google, just in case you're wondering why. It's because there was an imbalance. Tesla has a sell imbalance, so that was all the way at 141. Then it dropped $1 on that. Amazon. So look, guys, I mean, it was up 0.7, and I was still, we're both, I think we're both pretty bearish, but I was bearish right there as well. There's the drop down in some of these names. Ford continues to be a buy, I think, with EVs becoming such a problem. Go over to the hybrid spots. That's going to be Ford and GM continue to be accelerated as, again, this is the moment that we're in, right? EVs are hot, these names get killed, then all of a sudden hybrids come back and they're a little bit better. So I still like Mara. We're going to go over back to the desk because we only have 3 minutes, but I like Mara down here. I'm bidding the 1650, 1660 area. Let's see if we can get some dip buys in Mara. Off to the races for any Bitcoin-related name today. I like Mara. It might even be a punch long.
Chinese EVs downside here in a hurry this morning. It was just 8%, a little bit of an uptick here off 24 for Li Auto. Again, this comes back to demand. Price cuts over in China this morning announced for Li.
Yeah, the price cuts on all three. They're older models, the L7, 8, and 9, all getting up to about 30,000 yuan off. You'll recall last week the market did not receive well its new model of the L6, and it sold off aggressively then. It's selling off aggressively now.
Shout out to Steve Gomez over at Trade Ideas. This is free air, guys, but the wrong direction here for Li Auto.
Is that what Steve said?
That's okay.
I missed it. Okay.
I like that, but free air. I called it a flat bottom break,
Free
but that's
air.
fine.
Okay.
Underneath 26 bucks, it gets nasty. It's not really a flat bottom break. It's just a major support level that went. We said we liked this last week on a 26 break. Obviously, you can see that it's gapping down through 26, so you can't hit the 26 bid if it's not there. But you can short back on the way up. I don't want to think long today on Li Auto. Down 8%. Price war is not good for anybody when demand, basically everyone's fighting each other as you're getting a little bit of demand destruction in the EV space. So Li Auto, you can say Chinese EVs, but it's Li Auto today. You're down the 8%. They're the catalyst. I'm going to short it into 25. If it can't hold that area, I'm going to short it into 26. And if it rolls over at any point today, or even curls, I want to be looking for fades in Li Auto. When a stock gap fills like that or breaks a big support level, we saw what happened with ARM. Like, broke it on Wednesday, was short on Thursday and short on Friday. So Li Auto gaps through. I want to be looking shorts as long as it's underneath 26 on this bad boy. What a nasty, nasty retracement this has already made. We talk about things starting into bear territory. I mean, Li Auto's been in it for a hot minute now, and it's just accelerating.
All right, 1 minute to go here. I just getting some orders set up. I mean, I'm just to talk about what I like here. I like ARM short. I like Mara long. I do not have an order yet for Tesla, just noticing. I like Tesla short if we can get that one. So let's put an order up there in and around 145 or so for Tesla short. I like NVIDIA short, but NVIDIA is going for a ride. So let's wait. Let's be patient with this, up 2.5%. This name could really run. This could run. This could get back to 800 easily. So watch out for that one. Pan W? Yeah, let's go Pan W. We like that one. Someone in the chat with that. And then Snapchat, of course. That's another long. We're getting ready to open up here. So let's just, you know, we can relax. There's going to be a couple hours here of market time. So here we go. 7 with only a couple seconds left. We'll get ready to rock and roll. Snapchat back to 11 would be nice. I don't know if we're going to get that.
Ring it. There
Ring
we go.
them bells. All right.
Ring
well,
my
Snapchat,
bell.
Yeah, ring my bell. That's a good tune. That's for sure.
That was
ring my bell.
Oh, for the love of why am I
bell,
struggling with that?
my
So Mara is already headed back up. We already talked about NVIDIA. I just typed in Mara and NVIDIA into my thing, which is absolutely wild. NVIDIA is already starting to bounce. So if I was going to play an SSR bounce, it would have been like a dip and a rip, not just a rip. AMD, we want to look at the 150 level. This is 148.5, so nothing doing there. Don't want to rush in anything. Tesla's at 41. I have it breaking 140, but I think that was just a pre-market bad wick. So I think the 150 level on AMD could be coming into play first here.
Okay, just looking to see here because I was trying to be as patient as I possibly could be here with Tesla. It's getting going here again. We could be, again, let's wait. I'm going to try to smash a 140 break, and here it comes right now. So we'll try it. I mean, we're only crossed down, I think, into the 80s. We just went up to 141 there. I put an offer at 142, but that didn't hit. So here we go. Let's sit in this one, see if we can sit in this for a little bit. We are now, well, we got a good price. Let's put some, okay. Wow, there it is. There's your first trade of the day. It's a 50-cent winner immediately on Tesla. We were lucky. We only got out of a quarter. 20% of that. We got 97s to 57s right there. So a little bit of an out, and look at this thing rip around again. There goes up to 141. So wow, pretty violent. We reloaded it up there though. So let's see what happens if we get another. There it is, nice little reload on Tesla to the upside. So we reloaded that short there at 141. So let's see what happens now with Tesla. What's up, Adara?
This part of the show brought to you by VinFast. VinFast is committed to their mission. The company reiterated that they are on track to deliver 100,000 vehicles in 2024. From the bustling streets of Vietnam with their new VF3 to the highways of North America with their luxurious VF7 and VF9, VinFast is setting the pace for a greener tomorrow.
Oh man, we just took $1. There's your first Dollar Club winner. Hey man, is it a Monday? Is it a day that ends in Y? Look what Tesla's doing. There we go. We have one trade on. It's now $2 in the money. We just reloaded that thing, Neil, at 141. I mean, I know you got some there too. So
I got 93.
Good trade there as we are really, really rocking one more time here with Tesla.
Yeah, Tesla's falling like,
wow.
Tesla's been falling like a rock. AMD never got to 150. It tagged 148.80, unfortunately, so no chance at shorting that one. I think it's, look, if it's going to be one of the chip names to the upside to fade, ARM is flying maybe the most here. It's at 91.5 it just got to. I like 95s. I'm already sitting there at 94.5. I don't know if we're going to get a chance at these, but if you're looking at what's actually strong and moving up, if you want to short pops, it's NVIDIA, it's ARM, it's probably... Okay, never mind. I was about to say it's probably also SMCI, and then I pull up SMCI and watch. It already dropped $25 on the opening wick on SMCI. Yeah, that one, you saw NVIDIA and ARM's charts. Those are going up. SMCI is dying again. Oh, this is going to be nasty. I do want to find some kind of a fade in that stock, but, you know, AMD, ARM, NVIDIA, those are ones we're a little more comfortable trading. I just find like that SMCI, you got to let it cool down a little bit here. So ARM's the one. It's starting to get hefty to the upside. I don't want to be in this unless we're getting an out at 95. So I'd like it to creep at least up to the 93 level here. So let's be patient with it.
Man, so again, this is a big day one more time with one trade. We're out now of about 60% our Tesla, but it's still going lower here. I don't see any reason for me to drop this. It's been a good one there, so we'll just continue to hold on and see if we can get lower on Tesla, man. I mean, I don't have any reason to get out of this one. It is your trade idea from the sticky note. So let's just go over to another one and have a quick look to see if there's anything going on. And like, this is, honestly, we are completely loving this new style of trading, man. Finding a trade and just hitting it. All right, 788. That looks like a nice little top there potentially for NVIDIA. Wow, I'm just in love with this Tesla trade as it continues to go. All right, nice pushback down for NVIDIA now into 783. Wow, we should have just nailed that top there at 788, but we missed it. ARM as well. Wow, what a good level for that. But you know what, guys? This is just going to be another one of those days. Did you get in and out of Tesla or something?
I take a break and I don't hold a break.
Right. Okay. Okay.
So here's my style of trading. I do not treat a breakout as an also average into the 41 level. Sorry, I got to adjust on ARM in a second. A break is a break, and I get in and out of a break, and if it's a pop and fade, it's back into either pre-market high, it's back into a VWAP as a separate trade. Quick adjustment on ARM. I'm canceling my 94 order because, I mean, we're at 89 already. So if it's going to do this move, failing through 90, I'm going to try to short a pop back into resistance at 90. Or AMD, we'll probably have to make a big adjustment on AMD. The other one is just go into, like, Intel's at a more reasonable price. We're just wick 34.5, so you can be short this into that 50 level. It only has to pop 10 or 15 cents, and then we get an opportunity at this bad boy. So I do want one of these chip names for a pop and fade. It's just a matter of trying to get it in here. It's not going to be easy. SMCI just broke 700, so that stock continues to be an absolute dumpster fire. Yeah, I thought maybe we'd get some kind of a consolidation on SSR bounces, but that just didn't happen. They all rallied pre-market, and now you're just getting dumps full. So I'm going to reload Tesla off the 181. That's where we want to jump back into it. And Mara and Riot, never mind. I totally forgot about Mara. Mara in here is trying to dip, so we actually have a chance to get Mara. It's underneath VWAP. It's underneath $17. I think we have a shot that we're going to get into these 16s on Mara. But like I said, you got to be patient with it. Like, it's not at the prices yet.
Yeah, Mara's getting close. Yeah, it's a good call. I still have all my bids. As I continue to look here over at this, we got Snap. Yeah, I'm not trading Li Auto. Tesla, is that tanking? ARM, Tesla, NVIDIA, Snap, and Mara. So, yeah, Tesla's making a move back up, and that's why you get some out. We did see down here at 139 that there seemed to have been some issues down there. So if Tesla does want to make a ride up there, it wouldn't surprise me at all. 142, maybe we can get out of the way if it takes 142 and then reassess. But so far here on Tesla, nice little move back up to the upside, looking to try to fade it. Yeah, 142.50, I think we can get in trouble. I think we talked about that level, didn't we? Wasn't that the one that we wanted to get out of? So it was up here. If we ripped up, it was that 147.50. But right now, yeah, 142, yeah, 142.50 or so is the pre-market high. So 142.50 and change right there for Tesla will be something that we'll look at. And it's coming into that level soon enough. So here we go. Let's see what happens now as we take the big wins on Tesla. And now we got to sort of see about an average in. As now we're starting, okay, well, we just got an average in there. Now we're starting to see it come up. Watch out for 142.50, our next stop.
Yeah, and ARM is coming back into the upside as well. I'll get to Li Auto in a quick second. ARM's top is 91.75 with a 92 level from Friday. I'm going to try to get short that 91. And we picked up Li Auto at 65s on the way back up. Li Auto was actually going up as well, right into the previous high. Just got some out there, 24.50. So now you're starting to get those pops. NVIDIA, still 780. Intel did not get filled. And ARM, as we said, that's the one. It's starting to pop in here to that 91 level. Tesla, I got I don't have a 142.5. I got 142.25 as my out there on Tesla from some pre-market levels. But it's probably a distinction without a difference. It doesn't really matter. So you're starting to get a bounce here, but the NASDAQ's not really going anywhere. It's just some of these chip names, the beat-up names from Friday that are starting to come back.
All right. Yeah, I wanted, so the short name that I wanted was ARM up here. We're getting closer and closer to that. I'm still up in and around that 93, 94 area. So a pop for ARM will be thank you very much for that one if we can get it. I did see Palantir starting to run a little bit there off the open, so that could be something again here for Palantir. But I'm really just trying to focus on Tesla right now because we are trying to put a little bit of stress in our life with this name. But there, okay, so there we go. So this fell in. So we fell in right now. We got to be careful. I don't need to get a ton of Mara right now either because we just got some Snapchat down here. So it fell in. We had marked down this sort of level 1130. We talked about being able to get something into that level. So that is what we got. If we break back down now below 11, I think that could be an area of concern. But here we go again. So it's been a nice reload a couple times upside there for Tesla. So let's now see if that one can get back to the downside. So here's a name that, again, we're trying to focus on, be real with the names that we're looking at, and you know, just try to stick in that pocket a little bit. So we'll still try the Tesla short. We were just in the money a little bit there, but we're hoping for more of a push. That first level is 150.60. We just went down to 140.90 there. But if my out's going to be a little higher than this, then we got to get a little more aggressive on where we're starting to take some profits. So let's see. Maybe now we can get down into the dumps here with Tesla. Decent trade opportunity now for me. We're in this name. Let's see if it can go a little lower than where we are, and Snapchat is what we're looking at. And then Mara came right into that level, and I kind of stayed away a little bit from that. We could have bought some 16s or somewhere near there. Let's just see what happens. There goes Snapchat. We'll put a little bit of a winner on that one, 31s to 35s. Now let's see if we can go upside. We'll just take out that 20% there, and let's go now upside with Snapchat and see if it can get some of those tailwinds back to the TikTok upside here for Snapchat. Let's see if it can break 1180.
Yeah, TikTok.
Tesla is still
Snapchat's still trying to. I like the 11. I'm sitting at like 18s and 11s on Snapchat. But ARM probably going to come out here and move down to the 92 level right in here from Friday. And the next level up is 95. So we're probably going to have to be a little bit patient with that 95 level. And then Tesla, I got some out in front of 11s,
starting to go
or
now.
evens, I should say. And now it's trying to take out that 42 quarter, in which I'm jumping out of it. So we got to reload in Tesla, and the market's really starting to bounce. Mara, we missed out on the long on Mara, which is a bit of a missed opportunity. That said, it's not even at VWAP. So we might have a chance that this can stair-step it off of VWAP as we're going to Dara.
Keep an eye on Ton Gray Technologies here, TRSG. This is a second day IPO, so they did have their IPO on Friday. Currently halted to the upside of about 26%, but this one does have a market cap of under $100 million and a float of about 7.29 million shares. So a bit of a smaller cap. Day 2 IPO here with TRSG, guys.
All right.
I'm out of Tesla.
Yep.
Tesla broke that quarter level. I've jumped out of it. You got some dark pool wicks out in here, but 145, if we get much, much higher, 145, I do like it as a level, and I'll wait for it to curl back in. I still have Li Auto and ARM. We did not reload into ARM. I just want to quickly point out, where are you, Meta? Wherefore art thou? Meta has quite possibly the tightest range I have seen ever on this stock coming into a Monday that was this volatile. So I'm thinking this is just gearing up to go. But this is a $1 range effectively on Meta. Snapchat, obviously, I think has more room to run, but if this can, whatever, it doesn't matter. I was about to say, if this can hold that VWAP, I was going to look for a break. And then the second I say that, Meta starts to go to the downside, so no strength there. It's just ARM and Li Auto that we're going to hang with. I wanted to add to ARM on the way back in. The problem with SSR, you can't actually hit the bid when it starts coming back down. You can just hope to get filled. So I'll try to pick some up in the 91.5 range. That is the downside of an SSR name. You know, it's great for momentum because it means the stock got squashed, but when you're trying to get short the next day or that day, it can be a little bit trickier. So you have to sit on the offer. Sometimes it's got to go through you.
All right. We had a little more patience with our plan here for Tesla, so let's wait. We talked about the levels that we're waiting for. It does fall back down. We do take a little bit of profit, but we're still out of the money. 141.70 right now on Tesla. So let's wait to see what happens there. Snapchat does go right back up to the 200 period moving average, so that was a good one. For now, we are only out of, like, as I said, 20% or so, 25% of that. Let's see if it gets going. I do have another offer, I thought. Yeah, in and around 43. So let's see what happens right there right now. I only have these 2 trades on, so nothing else hitting for me at this time. I did see Amazon getting really exciting to start the day and then a fall. So up to 179 again. The market has pulled back. It's funny that everything's pretty much pulled back, and I'm on Tesla, and that's the one that's not. All right, let's see what's happening here with AMD. Look at this. I mean, if we just shorted AMD when we were shorting Tesla, wow, different story. And that's what we talk about. Get into the right names, man. Get into the chip names and just play what's been working and what's been right. All right, Snapchat's obviously going to be right. We take a little bit of a fill there as that's going upside. But yeah, AMD, bye-bye. That's starting to go to the, well, now it's starting to go back.
NVIDIA's trying to break out.
Actually, now it's starting to go back to the upside.
NVIDIA's got that hammer candle down into a flat top break thing that it does. So there's your open candle to the downside here, holding 775, maybe trapping some short 775, and then you get that move up. Not necessarily the day that I was expecting it, but if it's going to do that long breakout setup that's been working, it would be 788, and it is SSR.
Oh, Meta's coming.
So I would say, like, this is a very specific setup type play for me. And whether I'm bullish or bearish, it's just worked on NVIDIA here, so I will try it again. Although the last couple of times that I've wanted this type of a break, it's gotten to that level, not broken, and it was a short from that level. So 788, if we break out 788, I'm looking for that trade up. And that's just because he had a wipeout bottom, rejected the breakdown under 775, and now it's trying to take out the top here on NVIDIA.
So we're on our last straw here of Tesla as it starts to go higher and higher and higher. Watch out for that 143 break. Tesla's starting to get going, and I guess it was just too far down as people are going to start to take now the shot, I guess, at an earnings play, right? So, you know, might make sense to start to watch out for some of those high levels. Tesla right now, I just wanted to see if the short float was doing it. I know it's such a huge name, but this might be one of the more heavy shorted names at 3.5% right now, but it's tomorrow night. If you come over to my screen here, Fabian, you'll see right here, there it is, tomorrow night is Tesla market earnings recall. So here it goes, man. It looks like this name is going to be wrong up there. Oh, no. We don't have any economic numbers, do we? Because
you gotta be kidding me.
We're starting to go. There goes Snapchat. Oh, NVIDIA's starting to rip now.
NVIDIA's starting to go. Well, the problem with that is, well, think about this for a split second. Like, I'm short arm, so it's essentially, it's a wash with the arm trade, but I just took out 2 legs instead of 1. Not my own, but 2 legs of the trade instead of 1. And the second I was out, my gut was like, 790 should have been an ad. Like 790 break is like that even dollar break. If we're going to 95 or 800, where I think there's going to be a short above 800, I should have been adding at 790 instead of taking shares out. But you know what? You do like the normal way to trade something overrides what I thought for a split second there. So it is what it is. Like I can sit there and say that I liked it. It would have been a good idea. Maybe the next time we trade it, we'll be a little bit smarter about that because that was not an exit. That should have been an ad spot. I ended up taking 2 legs out there for a couple bucks. So if we get to 95s, I think you could run into some resistance. I thought this was a short the pop type of morning, but then this setup happened. And I do still think, let's go zoom it out for a second. Come on, man, there we go. 815 and 800. I want to be short at those levels. And you can't be short if you're long. At least so I read in a textbook somewhere. I think that's true.
We'll have to wait for the midday
yeah, I'm not sure. Like maybe a market technician can tell me that. So I need to be getting out of this long if I think there's going to be a fade play. Let's see about 800 to 805. If we break 95s, I'd probably put in some kind of a trailing stop. But then ARM just comes out. So that rip takes me out on the short side, unfortunately. So the short is a fail. And I was too aggressive getting out of that long. Big mistake.
This is a big long here. We'll go over to Adair quickly.
SPCE Limited here at highs a day on nice volume. SE getting an upgrade from BOVESPA Securities to a buy rating and increasing the price target. So nice look here for SE, up 11% right now, guys.
All right.
That DXY thing was halted to the upside, by the way, which A, doesn't make any sense. I just want to quickly go over that because DXYZ, I didn't pay for locates, but I did have a plan of action this week that if I saw like an outsized move up, I would look for a fade. Okay, so it's right back underneath the whole price. It's not at the 30 level. At 30 to 31, That would have been the area I would look for a short on DXYZ. It was halted. It looks like it's doing absolutely nothing. I thought that was breaking out. I didn't want to miss it, thought I had a chance to get there. If we get through 95s, I'm looking for a trailing stop at that point and see if we can run NVIDIA into the 800 level. And as I say that, I'm going to get on the offer out in front of 800 because that's my style. Lucid, thank you very much, Lucid, for somehow, like everything else, not Lucid, Li Auto. Like everything else, moving into the upside, I scalped it. Now you're at the 25 level. I said I would short it for 25s, but if it cannot hold on here, then I'm waiting for the $26 level. Is what it is, but I did not think this should fill in the entire gap. So back underneath 25, I'm going to look for a fade and get out at the local high, and then I back off to the $26 level on Li Auto. Apologies for saying Lucid there, but I mean, aren't they all kind of the same thing? They've been shorts for a while.
Yeah, every EV name, except for today when Tesla just continues to go to the upside. So we'll take early wins, late hits, and be red on the stock as it takes out 143. Look, you don't have any red candles here, and basically in the first, we just got short on ARM. So we don't have any red volume bars here. In the last 10 minutes, like save for a couple, and those weren't even big moves down. We were able to take a little bit of advantage of that. I think, obviously, Kathy Wood or somebody's in here buying this name right now. This is like pretty relentless.
She's been buying.
She's been buying, yeah, and I think been buying more. So I just want to be able to watch out for this. I think it's going to fall when that buy program stops. There's a pretty strong program on here that just keeps on buying up every single dip. So we're going to go short ARM right now. Hopefully we'll be $1 plus in the money on this one, where we're trying to get some out, maybe back into here 92. Could be a first indication here for ARM. So let's try to do that. I still want to make sure that we're on Snapchat, so we're really running that one. So we'll go 1 for 2, but way bigger hit on Tesla. And then here comes ARM. Let's just see. ARM is an NQ. All right, so let me just put a bid down there in and around 92. The way this thing moves, you got to have some bids out. The spread is just too big right there. So there's 50 cents of a win if you want to take it on ARM. I'm going to wait for a little bit more and see if we do get that pop down that we're looking for. And we just missed AMD at 150, unfortunately. So that came up to 150, and we were sitting there and missed it. It went to 149.90.
Very quickly, Cyril, I am not in ARM anymore. Remember, I had to stop out there the 92 half. Like, that came out right quick. I'm shooting 1 for 3, but essentially it's going to be a flat morning unless something crazy happens here in Lee, because NVIDIA I got out too early. We'd had shorts on. We still like to short the pop, but I just trailed out of NVIDIA here at 795, and that's pretty much the moment AMD gave you your shot for a short. So we grabbed that 788 break. That's a setup breakout, and saying it just keeps on working and working and working. When you have this kind of a hammer candle at the open on NVIDIA, it holds support and then stair steps up into a flat top break of that open high. Like, I think that's like it's shooting about 90% in the last month and a half, that particular breakout setup. And I always scalp the trade out. Of course, Intel's the one that shoots up here first. For me. So there you go. Intel, I'm short 34.5. You can see the double barrel resistance at 34.90. So I think that's the area I'm short into. And AMD, oh, it's still at 150. Well, be careful what you wish for. I was just lamenting, AMD 150, probably going to miss out on that. Well, it's right here, right now. These are strong. Remember, when you get a wipeout move like you had on Friday, there's going to be some profit takers for shorts. You're going to be some dip buyers at the open. And I'm not completely convinced that we should have follow through on this move for too long, because I don't think we're in that kind of a environment. You know, the floodgates started to open up. It just, you have to be patient for the shorts. Said it about 1 million times and still wasn't patient enough this morning. That's the life of trading. Like, you can have the plan to be patient, but the market can say, yeah, we know you got that plan. We're going to run it till 10 o'clock or 10:15 anyways.
Yeah, it might be a long. I mean, it might just be a long.
Is it though?
Is it though? Yes. I mean, I don't know so far. But yeah, the market just shooting up to the upside and taking out the pre-market highs and trying to hold up here. So yeah, we'll have ARM and Snapchat right there. So far, we'll go 2 for 3 with the bigger idea in Tesla not working out. So Snapchat and ARM both in the money. We just had ARM fall down into the 70s. So we were basically, I mean, again, the problem is with the spread. So let's see now. Look at this. The market still wants to go higher and higher here. So this could be, yeah, this could be a pretty dead red day. If you're dead, if you're red. You know, I don't know if this is going to work out. I'm bidding now 92.70. We just stopped there. That's pretty much the bottom of that latest move. I can't just sit here and just be like, let's just keep going short everything, because that is not going to work. We've done that before on this show and gotten run over. So another long that we liked was Mara. We should have probably got that 60. Yeah, see? So that 1660 was a level that we had talked about. It did come into 1665. It's not like you would have got long down there, but that was something that we had looked at from a pre-market level, or I guess it was from, yeah, it was from Friday's close. So we wrote that down. I think it was exactly that level there on the sticky note, and it came in within pennies, didn't get the fill, but when it was coming down, we were nervous about it anyways, because that was like straight shot to the downside. So we'll have to wait to see what Mara wants to do now, as it's still trying to go higher. Watch out for 1720. That pre-market high of 1750 is something else as well. Hopefully ARM can come back down, and now Snapchat is making the move down as well. So that pre-market high of 145 on Tesla was a dark pool. That could be something that eventually comes into play here for Tesla up there at 145. Wow, this thing was down 4 and a bit. Now we're only down 2, so 2% straight upside there for Tesla as the market's pulling back. I guess earnings season is upon us now for Tesla, so be very, very careful with what kind of trades you're putting on here.
The way you got to think about it too is, with the big cap tech names reporting this week, well, risk off for some. I mean, Tesla's been a short when you think about it, and this is not to try to explain things away. I mean, I lost on Tesla, and I'm waiting for 145 to 147 to get back in. I think those are the two levels. But if you were short this whole move, then risk off taking profits before earnings would be some buying back. So I think that's what you might be seeing happen here. The new position for me is AMD off of the 150 level, but Tesla 145 into 147. Sometimes you just have to wait until it gets to that next price level. Oh my goodness, AMD. Yeah, of course. AMD did not get everything we wanted off the 150 because I missed the 80s and took a fill at 59 on the way back in. That's a price where I want to have 70s. So I don't want to chase too far in a move like this. If we bounce off VWAP, I probably want to take some profit, but that looks like a huge rejection when I'm looking over at the other chip name I'm short, and like, what has Intel done? Like, Intel on that same move dropped like a couple of cents and is exactly where we had it before. So Li Auto short, Intel short, AMD short, and we're looking for Tesla at the 145 level. Sorry about those wicks, but 144, where it's at right now, is the current top. And I'm looking for 145. We said be patient. Sometimes it's a little more patience than you need. Meta was already breaking down, Joe DDD in the chat. And Coinbase. Wow, we didn't even really talk about coin. I just typed in Ash because Ash just said coin. The user in the chat,
Yeah, I've done that before.
just said it was Ash that was talking about Coinbase, and as I'm typing the symbol, gotta do this all the time. Coinbase is at my mid 220 level where I usually fade this thing. Bitcoin's at 66,000. I look at Sean because he has it up there, and I actually have IBIT instead. But you're at resistance on Coinbase. My issue is, do I really need to be short Coinbase when I'm shorting everything else? I'd say no, but you are at that big resistance on coin where it couldn't break that 228. So AMD looking pretty good. It's down at 148.5. I like that reversal candle that we're seeing, but 147's an out for me. I'm going to take the profit and run if I get it, and we're going to trail this one probably back into VWAP.
Yeah, we'll, as Neil was saying there, watch out for some of these obviously bigger chip names here to see if we can get a push. So we actually just got that fill on ARM. So we are actually bidding that 92.70. So we'll take right there 80 cents on ARM. We'll props it up. I'm still mad. I mean, I still think Tesla can go down. So I'm still waiting for that to happen and not that excited until that happens. So we'll wait to see. There's ARM. Nice push. It's 80 cents. Ho-hum. We'll see if we can get more on that one. But like Neil said, I think it's good to be patient a little bit here and wait for some names as I'm trying to scan through a couple things here. Micron is all the way back into 108. We've seen some moves. I mean, it's up today, but again, Micron falling off that 120. We've talked about that trade. We had this on the sticky note last week as well, as many of these chip names, of course, continue to look uglier and uglier. But Micron with another move up today, up that 2%. We had joked about NVIDIA possibly getting to 8, not joked, but we were like, oh yeah, it's probably going to get to 800. And I mean, it was within $3 of that, 797, roughly as your high there. So maybe that could be signaling something if we could get back up to there. A little bit of a top happening around 795. So that could be a play that we'll look at. We're still short Tesla, we're short ARM, and we're waiting for something with Snapchat.
Oh, my, seriously? You literally said Snapchat, and I got long Snapchat.
Yep.
Sometimes, okay, if you say
Well,
it
I'm in
again,
it, so.
if you say it again, does it go up? But when in doubt, short Li Auto. Li Auto 25 level failed. It's right back into VWAP. It's stair-stepping it up, but I just feel like this thing could be double digits to the downside, so we'll try to ring some register at VWAP. The first push down, it came to the $0.50 and bounced. We waited for the 25 level, and then we got in again and waited for VWAP. I'm going to bid. If it bounced to 24.5 last time, maybe it can bounce to 24.5 again. On Tesla, we waited for it to get back in and test 45s. It couldn't get there. The curl ended up being at 144.30 or so. I just jumped into that one. I'm getting some out in front of 143, and then VWAP's at 142 on Tesla. So Tesla's the L because I had the breakdown trade, which I always treat it separate. Like I had the breakdown, which I did not scalp. Again, every time I don't scalp a break trade, this is what happens. All I had to do was take the dollar. I got ridiculously greedy on it and was thinking, no, the first move can be like $1.50. I'm thinking 135 on that move. But it doesn't happen. We reload it into a loss. Now we're trying to get back into the 143. AMD is cruising. I'm looking for, it should be 147.5 here, but I'm moving my trail. If we bounce off 147.5, I'm getting out at 148, as we're now heading to happening now with Adara as the market finally cooperating.
SPY to the upside on the day right now, up about 0.5%, and in a little bit of a range here on this 15-minute chart. It is worth noting as well, this is going to be a pretty big week for some of these mega tech names. 4 out of the 5 Magnificent 7 stocks are reporting earnings this week, so keep an eye on Tesla, Meta, Alphabet, and Microsoft throughout the week with that in mind. We also do have some big economic data coming in later in the week with GDP numbers on Thursday and then PCE on Friday, but nothing in terms of economic data today. So a little bit of a lighter day for data and Fed speak as we do wait for some of those earnings later in the week. Some names to keep an eye on today include NVDA trying to recover here from that sell-off yesterday where it lost over $200 billion in market cap on Friday, now up about 3+%. We also have Meta here falling down a little bit, but still up about 0.6%. Trading higher along with Snapchat on the news that the TikTok bill has been furthered over the weekend. So nice look here for META and some of these other social media names. Last but not least, one earnings name here to watch is Verizon, initially trading higher, now down over 2% on a mixed earnings report. So lots of names to keep an eye on here today, guys.
Sorry about that. So we just did really good on Tesla, man. We'll just take $1 back on that, but at the same time, I mean, I still want it to fall more. ARM was just $2 in the money, and I laughed at it, thinking we're going lower. So right there, we were just short at 93.50. It just touched VWAP at 91.50, so that's a $2 winner. If you want that one, it's coming back. Well, I think it'll come back in and hit that anyways. So right now, even if you took the bid, you'd be $1.50, so that's good. And then this is Tesla. First out 50 cents, next out $1. We just took a 140. That was a 143.05 fill off of a 144. So. Oh, man, just wish it would have gone down a little bit earlier than that one. But all is well, all is well. On this day, it's been a pretty mixed bag. Not really anything happening around here, that's for sure. 141.50 for DraftKings maybe is a spot. I'm going to reload Tesla in a minute, but not right now. ARM's still $1 and change out. I was looking at DraftKings up here, but now that I see this chart, not much happening. 41.50. Right there. And then is Mara trying to pull back? I mean, I'm just looking at Bitcoin, it's not doing anything. And Mara did pull back a little bit to 1680. Okay, so let's keep Mara up on our other side and see if there's something happening. Hopefully ARM will break that 92 and we will get another whoosh down into VWAP, and then we can see what happens right there, because if the chip names continue to fall, I might just, like I said, I might just go over to SMH and see if we can find something. But here comes NVIDIA. Let's see if we can break. We just broke 790, now into 788. Let's see if we can get lower, lower, lower. And there goes ARM trying to break 92 as well. So far, so good. Just looking for a little bit more push on some of these shorts.
Yeah, I just got trailed out of AMD, so we'll ring the register on that one. We waited for the 140 level for a curl, but it just bounced off of those pre-market lows. So I trailed it to 148.25. We'll get like $1.30 on that trade. It was one in, one out. But if we get back in to that low, we might be talking about a retracement into VWAP. So the next trade doesn't necessarily have to be off 150. If you get down in here and bounce, then I'm looking for some kind of a VWAP retracement. Liado is bouncing nicely off VWAP. I still like that 25. If we take out a local high, I wait for $26 to try to short it again. You can go long if you want. I mean, it's obviously trend to the upside, but at the end of the day, I'm looking to short pops. And if that's going to be your plan of action, you're just going to have to be patient if you get some kind of an upward trend. No way around it. Intel's bouncing off VWAP. I was looking for a little bit more of a push down to get some out, but that's starting to work back in. We haven't looked at any of the regular Mag 7 names today with the exception of Meta, which remember saying Meta's range was way too tight the first couple of minutes? It's now starting to break down. So I got 16s on Snapchat, and I don't want it breaking in underneath 11 bucks. Got to watch out for Meta. If Meta goes red, I don't think Snapchat's going to hold up. So I might, if I get a chance to lighten the load, if Meta's going red, I might go ahead and do that in Snapchat. So Meta, bit of a bad bellwether for that Snapchat trade. That said, we're able to grab the NVIDIA long, and now some of the shorts are starting to come in. We're able to ring the register on a couple of names. But speaking of NVIDIA, ooh, man, if this comes back up and takes out this high, and we see that 800, I said 800 and 815 were the short levels for NVIDIA. Like I said, be careful what you wish for. But if we're going to try to short NVIDIA, we gotta wait for those levels. Have to do it. And if you are looking at this one, SMCI, worth noting, it is relatively weak. It's underneath VWAP, so kind of like Intel, kind of like AMD, this one rolling over a little bit more. It's actually red on the session. One of the only chip names I think that I can say is red on the day. I think it's the only one.
Which one? Yeah,
SMCI.
maybe.
I think it's
maybe.
the
I
only,
didn't look at that one.
I think it's the only red chip name.
That makes sense. All right, Tesla down another 55 cents. We're still, ARM bounced off 92. So talk about chip names. That might be one to have a quick look at going the other way for ARM. You know, had that move in. Maybe we'll get stopped out around 95. Take about a penny worth of or a dollar worth of risk. We already made that. So I feel like that's a decent stop in and around there, 95. If we go up, we're short at 93.50. We've already got out of a third. So I'm just trying to like piece some of these things in right now. Yeah, I mean, death wish or not, we are waiting for Tesla to go down. It seems like that doesn't really want to. 70 cents in the money. We're going to try to be patient. And then Snapchat, yeah, I mean, this one's starting to break lower as well. So be very, very careful with this, man. Snapchat coming into $11. Watch out for a break, obviously, there of 11, and then we'll see what happens with Snap. So, yeah, so far so good, but not great. So the market's trying to give it up to the short side, but not really, doing not much. And remember, we also don't have any economic numbers today, or we have PCE on Friday, so that would be something to look forward to. But until then, we just wait for big cap earnings, and I guess they're just kind of uncertain right now. NASDAQ had a nice move in the pre-market, then kind of flattened out here off the open, then decided to go higher. Now we're right at VWAP again and looking to go lower now. So that would be good. We're only short, I mean, we're long Snapchat, but you know, the short ARM and the short Tesla is what's going to make it. So let's see what happens with Snapchat, but we still have that $11 level, and then it's ARM and Tesla to the downside that I like, and then maybe an SMH.
I have a rule at 10 o'clock. You always try to do some looking for relative strength and weakness. So I'm in the same four things. I don't see anything new coming in unless we get back into AMD. However, Alibaba's up 1%.
Yeah.
Alibaba, wipeout bottom, holds Friday's close. So what do we talk about on NVIDIA? Wipeout bottom that traps shorts into a breakout trade. Look, this is $70 is that high on Alibaba. So that's a setup that I like. It's a 70s break into 65 would be the bottom on Alibaba. So I'm going to get that order out there. I like that breakout setup. Alibaba is bucking the trend of the market. I mean, in a general sense, I mean, the market's up, but we just pull back and this thing's above VWAP. So I do like this one on Baba. We'll see what happens over here. It's going to double back on Tesla. So we got the first out Tesla here, 143 off this 44. And now I want VWAP. But if Tesla holds VWAP, you could be right back at the 145. So my strategy usually station to station, if you're breaking out like this, where it's that setup that usually is a long setup, wipe out bottom into a breakout top, then my short's into VWAP. So if it bounces off VWAP, I want to be getting out of Tesla. Ultimately, I was short a bunch of times down there, so it won't be green on stock even if it goes in, but we'll at least have gotten a good portion back. And that's all you can try to do. Intel is working downside, but it bounced off VWAP itself, so you're getting a lot of these retracements that are finding support at the volume-weighted average price. And I'm going to take some profit every chance it gets. So as mentioned there, Alibaba, if it breaks 70, I'm going long. It's at 85. It's at 85, so you're like a few cents away from potential breakout here in Alibaba. New trade for me. This wasn't even on our watch list or anything. And sometimes that's going to happen. You'll see something set up that wasn't part of your original plan, but that doesn't mean you don't take the setup that you like.
Yeah, for sure. Alibaba's a good name. We definitely like that. We've been looking for that for a minute, so I like it. Yeah, here comes Tesla now at $1.30 in the money and trying to go lower. So all is well on the Tesla front for sure. Bidding around 142.30 would be great. If we can get that dip in, let's put some money back in our pocket, guys, on Tesla. So that's a good one. We have $2. So right now, we're $2.50 in the money because we have $1.30 here in ARM and then $1.40 in Tesla. So hopefully we can get that bid, and then we're trying to hold out hope here that Snapchat will do the dance and battle back for us. So yeah, man, so far so good on all of these plays. We like Alibaba. That's a good play down there near 69. The other name for a long that we had liked before, of course, was Shopify. We could talk about that. Let's go Snapchat. Shopify right here. Okay, so wow, okay. I mean, again, we talked about this one being a nice long, especially, yes, we love a coffee. Thank you, Randy. Down here near 70. So now we have the 200 period. We liked this on Friday. We did wind up losing on this name on Friday. Okay, come on. We might just take a piece out here on Tesla. Like I said, we have enough shares in the account here to do that. I am bidding right now at what price? 30s. So let's just put a bid here. We just bounced off 50. It's not going to make that much of a difference if we take a piece out here for me. So there it is. We'll take a piece out there on Tesla and say another short finally worked. It's a $1.50 club, but we want a little bit more on what's remaining. We do have a $1 club member here with ARM, but again, that bounced off $92 again. So hopefully we'll break it at some point as this market will head to the downside. I hope everybody is well enjoying the show. As Snapchat right now, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Bounces pretty clean off of 11. We are waiting for a little bit more down there, but yes. What do you want to know about this here? Phony baloney. Yeah, so we have one loss.
Good name.
Yeah, great name. I love that name. That was something that was really brought up to when I was growing up. My mom would always say that. That's funny. Okay, so phony baloney. Yeah, so the only loss we have is Tesla. And yeah, so we've already talked about that. So that's going to be a bad one. And then we've only taken profit on Snapchat, but just for you, Mr. Baloney, this one is also underwater. You can see our prices. I mean, we are under this one by 7 cents. We are in the money on ARM. Nothing phony baloney about this. There's the trade. That is $1, and then we're $1 in the money on Tesla. And we just took a piece out there. So that's what's going on so far, man. Hopefully Snapchat will bounce back, and I'm looking for more names. And I keep looking at Mara, but I'm waiting. Like, it keeps dipping. I know it's dipping into VWAP here, but I kind of wanted like a dramatic move down. So if something can happen tomorrow, we'll take that and wait for it. So far so good in what we're doing. So it's only 10:12. I am getting a little impatient. I would like to see the market move a little more than this so I could make something, but until then, we'll just wait, sit on our hands a little bit here and wait for this coffee to come.
But it's been a good show, and it's been a lot of fun. So if you're enjoying the show, if you're enjoying the market moves, there's been longs, there's been shorts, all that kind of good stuff, you know what to do. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and then tomorrow, the sun will come out tomorrow. I just had to say it because when you said that. Like we said, guys, we love the community in there. We appreciate you guys so much. And look, not every trade is going to be a winner, but here's the thing.
Disney.
There's always going to be that next opportunity. I was short off the open, took a hit on Tesla, took a hit on ARM, but that one NVDA long can make up for it when you catch a breakout. We'll see what happens with Alibaba. This was not a long that I was going to take, and then it's set up here into a breakout. We're already starting to take some profit on it. So that's the thing about the market. It never sleeps, and it never prevents you from looking for that next trade. Now, obviously, if I'm short biased on a lot of chip names, I want to give those a chance to give me some other shorts, and even something like a Tesla. But something like Alibaba, I didn't have a bias in that one. If anything on this stock, we've kind of been looking for bottoms overall, and it's been showing you a lot of consolidation and support. So I do like you, but we need to get some more than just 20 cents on Alibaba. I got an offer in front of the 50 level. If we can get that, it'll be a heck of a lot more fun for at least a couple of these longs. Before we go to Adara, I'm also in Snapchat. There's not much to update there, but I did get a reload off the top in Intel, and I'm bidding at VWAP again. So we're shorting off the high. We're going to bid VWAP. If it breaks that, we're going to bid quarters, as this is a nice inside day so far if you want to take advantage of that chip name. Let's go back to the desk with Adara.
This part of the show brought to you by Kalshi. Have you ever wanted to trade on events that directly relate to companies and the economy? Kalshi is the first legal financial exchange in the US where you can bet on any event. Ever wondered if TikTok will be banned, how many cars Tesla will ship this quarter, or what a new movie's Rotten Tomatoes score will be? Now you can use Kalshi to put your predictions to the test and trade on what you really know. Visit Kalshi.com to sign up today and grab a $20 bonus after depositing $50 exclusively for the first 500 people using promo code TraderTV. It's easy to get started. Choose an event like whether Boeing will have a new CEO this year, currently priced at 76%. Buy 100 shares at 76 cents each, and Boeing has announced If Boeing has announced a new CEO by year end, you cash out $100 on your $76 bet. Don't just watch the news, profit from it. Join Kalshi's 100,000 users and dive into diverse markets, make your moves, and potentially profit from global events. Kalshi.com.
You can bet no.
You can bet no, yeah.
Look, man, the Boeing CEO out? No. I saw Tesla. Is Elon Musk out by the end of the year? And the no? I know it's not paying out a lot, but 88? He's not out, right, Randy? But it's not paying you much. I think it's like 88 cents. So you pay 88 to make a dozen on that. But
thank you, Randy.
If you're a degen,
all right, cheers.
Elon's not going to be out. So you can make that bet. And we always talk about this in trading. Obviously, it's a little bit different because you're looking for patterns. For those that just want that like very binary play. And you can bet on politics if you're into that kind of a thing. But look, it is what it is. I think that can be fun. A lot of people can have some fun there. That said, understand, always be responsible. We always say that. Be responsible in your trading, be responsible out there, but I think you can have some fun. I just got VWAP on Intel, so we're able to ring and register once again on that short. It got back up to 34.50, right back into these 34.40s. I want the next bid down here at 25s or 40s as well. Li Auto is holding VWAP, I'd say pretty decently. At this point, I would say it makes some sense to grab some VWAP. I'm going to get on this bid at 71 here. Lee, we were patient enough with it to get to 25, but we didn't hit that 25 on the way down. If it's going to do this at VWAP, I think taking some more shares out of VWAP makes a ton of sense. Alibaba continues to hold higher, so we're able to sniff out that long on a break. I want this to get to the 70-50 level. Those aren't significant. That's just like overnight dark pool printing. So you're into thin air because this stock was another gap down. But when you pull out the 15-minute, there's your 750 previous close going all the way back to last Monday, and then the 71 quarter level I think would be the next stop if this does make a move. So I don't think I'm getting more than $1 out of this just based on the targets that I have on Alibaba. 25 cents in the money right now, and the Snapchat long, Snapchat's just kind of trying to hold on for dear life here at the lows. It's got an 03 bottom where it did this little wick. I added on the way back up when it held 11 even. But this needs to get back into the 20s and 30s, and then we can grab some profit. It's not being helped by Meta, which is an absolute dog right now. So if Meta doesn't turn itself around, Snapchat trade's probably not going to work out, and Meta's still showing all red in there. So Baba working. The only thing that's trouble right now for me is going to be the Snapchat long. Everything else working in the money.
Yeah, Snapchat is the problem for me as well, but we're good to go right now. We're just kind of chilling out right now. Finally, things starting to work out as we did get. We are now at still $1.50 in the money on ARM, but as this market continues to break lower, I don't have any bids on ARM. So I think why not 90? So I'm gonna wait for 90. I say it's slower, maybe it'll come through. I'll wait for 90 on ARM. So 90 right here, like $90.20, something like that. Here, let's put a funny gateway just in case. I don't want to sit on NASDAQ. Let's see if that one comes through as well right now for us. Tesla's starting to push down as well. right now. So here we go. All right, so far so good. All right, it's 10:20. Let's see if anything else happens. I don't hear anything. There hasn't really been anything major news wise around here, but we are sponsored by Benzinga Pro. So if anything sort of hits in here, then we'll be able to see any sort of news story. I do have it in my ear, and we'll figure all of that out as we go. So for right now, nothing major happening. We're just sort of resting on what's been really working. Like I said, what's been really, really working for us here has been waiting out for bigger moves, catching these moves, and as Neil mentioned, man, holding out for your style of trade, you know, and I think that that's what's important, because as I look here, even though we have a lot of traders behind us, I think there's like 2 or 3 positive traders this month in North America, in the US markets. So it is a little difficult to trade, and you got to make sure that you stay in your lane as far as what you're trading, and understand at the end of the day, although, like I said today, we'll be red because of this Tesla trade. Let's see if it can get down. We're not going to do anything, but we're still staying in, you know, the lane that we think we belong in. And that is to take little smaller hits and then try to see if we're going to be right on the momentum and the change of pace for the market. So I think we're going to be heading to the downside. We've talked about being bearish today. The problem is we got stopped out of these Tesla shorts as the market was ripping up. Now the market's coming back in, and you could see what's happening now. A lot of the shorts and the rhetoric that we thought would be true in the market is finally starting to pay off a little bit. So let's wait to see if this can hold. And then we're going to go over to a name like the other short that I had. I have ARM, I'm short already. Tesla, I'm short already. NVIDIA, we missed it. I know Neil had that. That was a good one, even though it was a long. And then we had Snapchat down here, which we're still in. And then Mara. So as I look today at the sticky note, it's really going to be O's on Tesla, win on ARM. And then we are still in the money on Snapchat for the day. But this position currently is out of the money. So yeah, it's going to be a relatively flat day for the trade ideas, but a red day for trading because of my risk that I put in Tesla. And you guys know that. We've talked about that. I'm as proportion, it's fine. Like what I'm down on Tesla compared to, the way it is. We're going to be red on the day. It's not nice, but that is trading for you. And like we keep saying, you have to look at things sometimes through a little bit of a broader scope. All right, here comes Snapchat coming back in well. 11.17 now, back up to the upside. I may take some out just because we've had a nice move back up. The 50 period is like where I'm long, so I would like to average in a little bit more. Let's see if this market goes. Here we go again. Now we're $2 in the money on Tesla, and that's starting to sing a bit. And ARM hopefully can join it to the downside, so we'll see.
Before we go to the small cap, just quickly, I took an out on BOVESPA. The market just broke support. I took it out on BOVESPA at the local high as that was happening. So 70.35, I was going to take 45s. But when I saw the market, the NASDAQ break support, I decided to take some profit on that long trade. But it's time to head on over to Adara. Let's get that small cap recap.
IWM positive on the day, consolidating at that previous area of resistance, I guess, over at that 194.40s on the Russell 2000. So slightly positive on the day, but definitely trading within a very tight range as of right now. In terms of individual movers, there are quite a few. First one to mention here is Smart for Life, SMFL. This one very notable. It does have a 34% short float, market cap of about $383,000, and a float of about 110,000 shares. So very small float market cap with a large short interest for SMFL. Next up here we have AGBA. This is AGBA Group. This one announced on Thursday after close that it's going to be getting into a merger agreement with Triller. So ongoing upward momentum for AGBA, up about 50% right now. Last but not least, Edible Gardens, EDBL. This one trading higher here after announcing that it's regained compliance with the NASDAQ bid price requirement. So nice move up here, almost up 100% for EDBL.
What a juicy and hungry trade that sounds like. But NVDL, we'll look at some of those small caps maybe. I feel like if the market reverses and goes red, then the afternoon show is going to turn into, if you want to find a long, you're going to have to do it in small caps. That's just my gut, because after that false breakout, this will get pretty nasty. I was mentioning that you lost support on the NASDAQ, but we wanted to go to the small cap recap. This is what I was talking about here. So here is the NASDAQ. This was overnight and I guess pre-market support at 172.4. That is now broken. That's why I took some shares out of the Alibaba long, and I'm now trailing the rest of Tesla. Look, Tesla, clearly if you shorted it off the open, kind of nasty unless you had that first open wick. There were some scalping opportunities in the VWAP. If it holds VWAP, I'm out 42.5. We'll take the $2. If we break lower, I want out at the low of the day, or at least down to the 140 level. So Intel, this is starting to break VWAP. We're looking for 34.25. Li Auto, we've been short the entire way. That's starting to break VWAP as we're now about 50 cents in the money. I think we're looking for 24 even on Li Auto, and that'd be all the way down for that dollar win on this stock. Again, like, you just had to be a little bit patient. Crazy that on a day like today, like for me, the stock that allowed me to be green, and the shorts are working now, was a breakout long on NVIDIA. It's just the way that it's set up. It was a pretty clean breakout trade. I showed you this guys a million times. Like, sometimes I'll get out here and it goes all the way up here. But you've just got to trade your own style. That breakout trade has worked high percentage for me because I take the first out and then I take the next one in. Oh, they must have reset it. Next fill it'll probably come back. I just noticed that Sean's still short, obviously, but that'll refresh. And look at the flush in NVIDIA. This is going to go red today. And I think you want to hold on to your shorts. So I got to watch out. I mean, Snapchat, ugh. And Snapchat's probably going to come out. I got some shares out here, 17s on Snapchat. Give it one more chance to bounce off 11 maybe, but this is probably going to come out.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll try to take a fill soon, and we'll be in it. But right now, we are $3 in the money on ARM. You want these trades, Mr. Mendoza? There they are. I mean, finally, you know, face ARM. We talked about these shorts, man, coming through, and this is the thing. You know, when you are honestly confident in what you're doing, you can have these trades. I'm just mad that we dumped Tesla, but it just kept going. We said there was a buy program on it. It was quite obvious. We'll stay short on that, and ARM is really going as well. You know what? Maybe here, let me just buy, just for jokes, a little bit of more Snapchat here, if I can, if I'm allowed to there. Push enter, there it is. Now will my position show up? There we go. Okay, good, now Neil's are gone, perfect. But anyways, mine are now showing up, so there we go. Let's just see what happens now, back up to the upside. I just bought some more Snapchat there for fun. Here comes ARM, so now it's $4 in the money. It is a hot dog cannon kind of a trade here. We are bidding ARM down here at 50s. So it just came in 89.70 right there. Yes, there is some dollar clubs there. Thank you for that. 89.70. We'll see if we get a little bit more of a push back down lower for that one. So 350 in the money for ARM. 250 in the money now for Tesla. And there it is right there. Yes, you're right, Kyle Burdett. I mean, that's why I told you, you know, no matter how the trading goes, man, stick with what you're doing, because at the end of the day, you can look down and you know where your net is. You know where it is on the month. You know where it is on the day. And not that you should trade your net. I don't think that's necessarily a good idea. But just understand that some days your plan is going to get punched in the mouth. And when that does happen, you don't go anywhere. I'm still here. We're still looking at the stocks and saying, so what? You know, we got the short back again. We got hit early, but we didn't get hit late. Right now, I feel like our boy there, Ryan Garcia there, dummied whoever that other guy was, that Delaney guy. That was hilarious. But right there, we'll see if we can just stand in there. You know, you take a couple punches in the early round, and then you come back, and now you're $4 and $3 in the money. And, you know, the plan seems to be according to plan right now. And that's the big thing. We talked about that. Stick with your ideas and just keep on going. So, you know, it's really led me to, again, a great, like my best month in a hell of a long time. And like I said, it hasn't been super easy. So, yeah, we're really confident, as you can tell. Let's just wait to see if we can get some more ARM down here in and around that 80. I mean, I was waiting for 89.50, so we'll put it a little bit earlier than that. We're sitting somewhere here in the 60s. So one little whoosh down, and there it is, the professor. There it is, Neil. That's your $4 winner right there. So we're back into this one. The market finally starting to go down. We do take a little bit of ARM out right there. And again, We talked about that. The levels we wanted, they came into play. So I just should have been, again, could have been more less aggressive early and more patient waiting for that Tesla trade, because, man, we made back a hell of a lot of money since this move down, and it's sticking with what you believe in. So yes, exactly. It's okay to be wrong. This is, I think, something that Neil says, just not to stay wrong. And that's why I say to you, and I say this sometimes too, you obviously, when you look down at your net, it's important what your net is on the day, because 20 of them equal a month. But at the end of the day, if you have a rough day, like we can go 15-2, 15-3, and then have an L day. It's, does your L day wipe everything out? And I mean, it doesn't. So that's what we're waiting, obviously. So that's what we're waiting for. We're just going to keep on taking some profits. ARM is out there. Tesla's where it is. We're waiting for more, and Snapchat might be the bad trade, because we should have never gone long that high up, but we took profit, and now we're just, we had profit opportunities there at 18.19. So now the 50 period is right here at 11.20. Just be careful with this. I still think Tesla drops a lot more than this.
Yeah, I'm thinking at this point either Tesla gets back above VWAP or it gets to that low. And I'm talking about like the 138.5 was that bottom. So I'm looking for the bounce off the bottom at some point on Tesla, or retakes VWAP and I just get out. AMD's continuing to flush. All these chip names are going to the downside now, but Alibaba is trying to bounce off 70. I took that next leg out at 70.35. If it holds 70, great. But if it gets down to VWAP, I want that to be a separate trade. So I'm going to move the stop a little bit tighter on Alibaba. If it breaks 70, I'm going to get out of this thing, and I'm going to look for a VWAP bounce to the downside. As Sean said, like, you got to stay in your lane. Like, everyone's going to be a little bit different. Like, you'll see on Tesla, once it broke away from those pre-market levels, had to wait till it got to 145, but then it really started to work down there. Intel, we're short. We looked for something that was not violating the levels we liked, so it went over to this pre-market high, went right into a lower high off, not pre-market, but the opening range top. It went right into that level. We shorted it to VWAP, reloaded it. It has not broken out. Now we're looking for the fade. If it goes red, I think we're laughing into the $34 level. Every 50 cents on Intel tends to be a level. So if it holds 34.50 as a short, then I think the bottom is going to be somewhere around that 45. Snapchat, it's starting to look okay. Like, this is the first time since that, there's your wipeout bottom at 11, higher low. This has a chance to get to VWAP. So you're getting a higher low here in Snapchat for the first time. I think that's looking pretty solid. So far, so good. But without the NVIDIA breakout, wouldn't be green today. Let's be real. Like, I was looking for shorts. The best trade's been a long for me. Sometimes that's how it is. But it's also time to go to Adara and get that crypto update. You haven't even looked at any of those.
Go.
I don't even know.
This was mentioned a little bit earlier as well, but interesting potential post-halving switch for some of these Bitcoin miners. CoinShares here noting that there could be a shift to focus to AI operations in order to recoup revenue due to the increased in-production costs for Bitcoin mining after the halving. So potential shift into AI operations for some of these miners. Keep an eye on those. Interesting look there. In terms of Bitcoin itself, bouncing off that previous low around 60, or not previous low, but earlier area about 60,000, continuing to bounce up here. Now about 66.5, so nice move up for Bitcoin here. Ethereum also up above that 3,200 level, now up about 1.6%. And a lot of these other crypto-related names pretty strong here as well. BNB up 4%, Solana up 4%, Cardano up almost 4%, Ripple up about 2%. So nice, strong look across the board. This post-Bitcoin halving move, bringing up a lot of these other crypto-related assets, guys.
Yeah, I feel as if there might have been a missed opportunity in Mara in here. That said, you got to look, man. You got to go where the action is. You got to go where the setups are. And I liked 16. We talked about this for like some dip buys. 17 would have been okay if you had it on the way back up, but that $16 level never gave it to you. 16.5 is going to work if you got it. So you have to trade setups. I think ultimately setups are pretty much, they're more or less everything. Like, it's because you have to have some kind of an execution strategy in your trade. And if you get to a certain price or something happens at the open that doesn't give you an execution that you're comfortable with, then you're just not going to do it. And that's the thing. If you don't find a solid way to get in and out of the trade, then it doesn't matter that it comes to the level that you like or that you had the direction right. And we talk about this all the time. When there was a 60,000 reversal, I had it 3 times, and the last one was on a new setup for me last week. And I'm going to try that again if we get a 60 or a 70,000 on Bitcoin. Snapchat, as I mentioned, higher low. I want VWAP here for the next out. I'm going to get something out here in the 35, even if it breaks VWAP, because that is stair-stepping to the downside. So that's starting to give us some indications that we could be okay. Li Auto, I feel like, we said we wanted to go short on Li Auto. So we had the first available pop into support. We had the next pop into 25, into VWAP, took some more out of VWAP. Now you're holding underneath VWAP. So this never breaks back above 24.80. I think we're laughing down into the 24 area on Li Auto. It's just all about that risk to reward. Like, try to limit the losses. Try to wait for that key price to get back in. And speaking of key prices, this is not necessarily a key price. This is more about a key bellwether. NVIDIA is bouncing off pre-market low. So if you're short this, I'm short Intel. Tesla probably doesn't care too much about NVIDIA. But if this gets back above VWAP, you got to watch out for your chip names. But it's still looking bearish overall. Like, that's a nice move up, but the way this broke VWAP, that's a pretty bearish looking chart. So I want to look for some opportunities for shorts that we're not in. AMD, back into VWAP, 147.5 can be a thing. You had mentioned Micron. This will load back up in a second here. There we go on Micron. Man, loading. Another one, relatively weak. It's trying to go red to green. It's at the low of the day. So we talk about relative strength and weakness. Micron's at lows when NVIDIA is trying to break back up to VWAP. If NVIDIA fails VWAP, why not be short Micron where it's consolidating or if it wants to hold red? So I just want to file that one away. It wasn't on my initial plan to be executing there. BABA, I got to stop underneath 70. We already took the money on that one. It can't turn into a loser that long. But Snapchat definitely can.
Yeah, Snapchat, we took a little bit off there at 16s or 17s or one of those just because, yeah, it's been rough. It's been not rough, it's just been slow. Not rough at all. We're actually up on this name. So we're only going to have one red right now. So just real quick, I can't be the trader who, I pretend to be on here if I don't talk about risk management, because I just want to tell people, and I don't know if we'll all do this or not, but I'll tell you. So like right here on Tesla today, so I lost about 15%. So it's and again, this is what it's about, right? I'm trying to tell you, like, we can't just tell you when we have positive days. So far there's been 15 trading days this month. As I look at it, there might have been some holidays in there. I think I had one, maybe one day I wasn't here. I can't remember. So 14 trading days or whatever. That one day, one of the L's of the month, we have 2 L days, two losing days, was that day. And it's my fault. I mean, we sit here, we did lose connection, and I wasn't able to get out of some of the trades. But I lost 15% of my month, which I feel is fine on that first Tesla trade. Now we made it back. It won't be near that, but I was just letting you guys know so that if you have $1,000 month, $100 month, you lose 15%, right? So that giving it back, that sucks to do that. So, but again, we're here to make money. So like, what am I supposed to do? Sit here and just like, pussyfoot this around. So I like Tesla. It's on the sticky note. And if I'm going to be, like I keep telling you guys, the trader that, we're showing you, then yeah, we are going to stick to our guns. We're going to stick to what's working. And I'm going to sit here and tell you, when I look down at the end of the month and the net is what it is, then I know this is working. So I'm just here to tell you that, even though we will get slipped up, and we've done that before, we're here. And since that trade, look what we've done. $3 in the money on Tesla, right? Since this trade, right? $3 in the money on ARM. So some of us around here will lose money, and that will affect them. It will hurt them. And that's fine. That's part of the mental. We talk about that all the time. People take hits, take days off, all that kind of stuff. No, man, we sit here and we just put on more risk because we have the confidence, I feel like, that's necessary to win at a game like this. So, all right, let's go back over to the desk. You're welcome, Day Trader Cut. It's just about being honest, right? We can't sit in this desk without doing that. So let's go over and see what's up with Adara.
Just a quick note here on Tesla, TSLA, Bloomberg here reporting this is, we've had those ongoing layoff news with regards to Tesla after announcing last week they'll be laying off maybe around 20% of their total global workforce. Now they're cutting roughly of their 40-person growth content advertising team. So cutting that team, which consists of roughly 40 people. Another layoff update here for TSLA.
Yuckity, yuckity, yuck, Tesla. Tesla working to the downside for sure. And as I said, I probably don't go green on Tesla today. Unless, if it breaks the low when I hold through the low of the day, that's a different story. But if I did that, then I wouldn't be trading my style. And I think, like you said, you got to stick with your style. And if it gets to that low, I already have a trailing stop on this. Snapchat, still going to be the one of concern. But the next trade, as we said, NVIDIA getting back into VWAP. If we do have a pushback into VWAP on NVIDIA, I want to look for reload or at least take some short trades. AMD was the one I was going to mention. AMD could be pulling back into VWAP itself for 147.5. There's always a decent chance. It's like the pre-market lows and it's down at 147. So I want to be ready for it if it comes in. Micron was the other one we noted for relative weakness. We might not see VWAP on Micron. Might have to look for something down at the 107 level. And then Li Auto, all of a sudden Li Auto, you never really know when the Chinese ADRs are going to stop going in either direction. So if we do end up barcoding all throughout lunchtime, I probably don't put anything new on. I just look to see if it flushes under VWAP to the low of the day and don't look for re-entries until a bit later on. And then Alibaba, we said we were looking for something that was setting up. We got a setup we like, which is the false bottom break into higher lows, into a breakout off 70. It's holding 70. There's nothing to do with this. If it can't hold 70, we get out of it. It can't turn into a losing trade here. And the play is to hold this for 71. So Alibaba up 1.5% into a 0.2 market. I consider that relative strength. That's why we're long this one. Snapchat was long off support on good news. Whether that works out or not remains to be seen. But it's weird to be, I was bearish, but I think we can go at least 2 for 3 on the longs. And if we find any other ones, we'll let you guys know. That DX, before we go over to Adara, that DXYZ never really popped into that $30 level. It was going and halted up, but as you can see here, I don't think we have to worry about shorting 30, as I was saying. Let's go to Adara for Sector Watch.
Sector Watch.
Quite a few sectors actually pretty great across the board here. We have health technology, very strong. Finance cooling off after recent bank earnings. Those have ended, so finance pretty decidedly to the upside here so far this morning. Energy minerals pretty strong here as well. Health services, with the exception of United Health, very much to the upside. Consumer non-durables worth noting as well, and transportation. In terms of weaker sectors, we do have communications. Verizon leading this group to the downside after its mixed earnings report. Consumer durables, not bad with the exception of Tesla here, bringing this group to the downside amidst price cuts and another layoff announcement ahead of those earnings coming up tomorrow after close. So a bit of a weak look for TSLA to kick off the week. Also worth noting, a little bit weaker in technology services as well. Meta, after a strong start, going to the downside a little bit here, as is Netflix, day 2 of earnings, a little bit red. Generally, though, pretty positive look for a lot of these sectors, guys.
Day 2 earnings. Yeah, I always forget to look at day 2.
Yeah, but the thing is, Netflix is not a stock that we typically trade it. So we don't mind looking at it, but I'm usually never, I shouldn't say never, I'm very rarely going to trade Netflix, if we're honest. And that's the whole idea. It doesn't look very good. And if anything, you just lost 550 again.
Oh my God, Meta.
Like, what looks reasonable? The 200 period at 485 is the last consolidation level, so I don't see any reason why, like, if you're not holding here, why doesn't it see the 500? Earnings season has started, and the first few names that we've gotten have not been good. Let's be real. So the shorts are definitely winning in there for pretty much everybody. And NVIDIA just got to VWAP. Let's quickly show you. Back into VWAP at 780. So as it gets to 780 and VWAP, it's, to me, relatively strong. It puts AMD on watch. If NVIDIA pops VWAP and starts to curl at the highs, then AMD at 147.75. Intel, I don't know if we're going to get that one. But Micron, this is definitely weaker. So I want to be fading Micron back into VWAP. The second I start to see a curl in NVIDIA off VWAP, I want to get into the weak name to the south side. I have a trail on Tesla and Li Auto. We already talked about that one. But I think it's Micron if I get something new.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pair out. I don't want to be long anything. So I'm trying to get out some more Snapchat right now. I am already on that AMD short in and around that area. And I do love all of you in the chat. I mean, thank you so much. When I start to spit like that, I really do appreciate all the love in the chat. Okay, so yeah, starting to get out some more Snapchat. So just to go back on AMD, we could still pick poison and use NVIDIA as our, like I said, NVIDIA could be, we said about how, you know, we're here this month. It's been a really successful one. And I think I'm going to run the study again during lunchtime to see, because I think NVIDIA is going to be my P&L #1 stock. And then if so, then, you know, maybe that'll give me some more confidence to look at that instead of this. But at the end of the day, I still know that we've made a lot of money here on AMD as well. So that's kind of the stuff that we talk about, is go back to the well where you know you've had some kind of success with, and that would be here with this. So I like AMD, it's pushing back. I like a 147.50 into 148. So I think that is something. And so as we come back up for AMD, we're already sitting there, but it's at 147.80 is where we're gonna sit. See if we could take a little bit of risk at this level and not get too carried away. But that's a good short for me, man. Down here, up on the day, but the market is also, as we were ripping up, we believed so much in the short that we just held everything all the way back in, man. We held Tesla back in and we held ARM back in. So it is having that confidence to be able to hold something. Google was, I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but since basically the onset of the show, I used to trade lesser names. And then basically for the last 2 or 3 years, I've really stuck to big cap tech. And then so that's something that, you know, I've noticed that's what we're doing a lot right now, is because of the movements. So we got to try to stick with, again, you know, what's happening with the moves and where they're coming from. So even though Google has made a nice move back, I would say this is up on the day versus the market. You do have a nice little bottom here in and around 154. So this is another possible long idea if we dip back in. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, especially if you are bullish. And we've bounced off this level before. It was lower than where we were, but we've been down here before, 17 just here, right? 17,175. And then this level that we couldn't get back to is 17.4. That goes all the way back to February 21st. So with only 15 minutes left or so, we just got to be careful that we're, you know, watching the right names and watching out for a possible break a lot lower here in the NASDAQ if we do take that wicked bottom of 17,150. I mean, I think if we could take that, and right now we're what, 70 handles away? Yeah. So we're at 17,220. We've already dropped off about 150 handles right there in about an hour. So yeah, I do actually expect us to maybe test those lows. If Netflix is going to do this on a good report, then yeah, I don't know how perfect Meta has to be priced for them to get something, how perfect Google and Apple and some of these other names. I just think that they're priced to fall down. So let's wait to see. There goes Netflix, man. And we've already said this before, the Emperor didn't have much close on with NVIDIA, and we had mentioned that up here as well. So a nice pullback for NVIDIA. This is the name that I want to buy on dips, but let's get that guacamole ready, because it's about to dip into like 7, I think into here, like 714, 715. Maybe we'll put a little bid there, but guess what, guys? We're right, because here comes Tesla back in to the lows of this move. So I like this Tesla move. We just got to make sure that we get the right price. I'm bidding 140.20s.
Yeah, I think like definitely get your dip buys ready. Or, I mean, Brendan sort of said this in the pod, like maybe you don't stink bid. Maybe you just wait for some actual strength to come through and then go for the long. I'm talking about long term. I mean, obviously, when you're day trading, you're going to bid in front of support levels. The new position for me, I said we'd get Micron when NVIDIA got to VWAP. Well, NVIDIA curled off VWAP. This is it here. I'm short Micron. I want to give it to like, oh, and it just ran that stop. So I was about to say 107.5. I want to give it into that level for that short. And if we try again, it's got to be VWAP or back underneath 175. So we want to be pretty patient waiting for those setups. But I do like the relative weakness here. And everyone's style is going to be different. Like I like to not hold that into here. You can short that and give it into 108 if you want. I'd rather take a secondary trade here or a secondary trade after that pulls back into the downside. So patience, always look for that next setup. That EDBL probably not going to be something that I look at. And I want to go back over to Alibaba for everybody. It's the consolidation at 70 bucks is actually pretty solid. And if we do get some kind of a pushback up in the market, maybe there isn't a VWAP trade to be had. But unless this breaks, like it has to break this consolidation higher for me to want to add to the long. Like if it's barcoding, I don't want to just sit in this and add here. It doesn't make a lot of sense. If it can break it out upside, then I'll look for a long over the 70-20. So BABA looks strong to me. Go long strong stocks, ideally go short weak stocks. Tesla, as we mentioned, at this point, I think we can see that low of the day. It seems like where it's headed. I'm just going to move the trail. As VWAP gets a little bit lower and lower, then the trail just drags itself down just a little bit on Tesla here, down 4% and looking pretty nasty. JD, Kevin just said, held pretty well. Well, I actually just noticed this one as I was in Alibaba. Pinduoduo is up 4% today. So I feel like if this gives up VWAP, that could give me a reason to also get out of Alibaba. It's PDD that's running a lot. I like to set up off the 70 break on BABA, but PDD is clearly the stronger one. I don't know the particular reason why Pinduoduo was so strong, but ultimately it doesn't matter. Just look at the price action here. Chinese ADRs are strong, relatively speaking, today.
We'll only go Tesla, Snap, and ARM, it looks like, by the time we're all said and done here, and go 2 for 3 on the day, because here comes Tesla. And again, remember what we said, just be confident in the trades. Like, I lost 15% of my month here, and we're right back to where we started shorting. So again, if I had been patient for an hour and I had that crystal ball, fine, but that's why you got to get out and you regroup and you make it back. We made about 5% back on the month, not 5% of the trade, right there back. So that's fine. So now we are happy with that, and that's, like we said, man, that is what's good. Boeing coming through the next couple days as well, so let's have a quick look on that one. Boeing does come in. Again, we are changing the format of the recap show. More to come today. I think today's a brand new format, so I don't know if it includes you or what, Neil, but apparently we do have a brand new format. April 24th, so that is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So Wednesday pre-market, so get your last trades tomorrow on that. Have you heard anything about the recap show?
I haven't heard anything about. Like, I know we're supposed to be changing it this week, but I mean, all right, cool. The way I roll is like, you know my number, I'm up, man. We had some fun. Yeah. We had fun on Friday, and you know the cool thing about it is, like, sometimes you have earnings to talk about when it gets moving, and it's clear. Like if Tesla earnings come out, you spend a bunch of time. This is what Tesla's doing. These are what the numbers are, and that's a heck of a lot of fun. But you know what? Even when you don't have it, you got the whole week to review. There was so much going on in the chip land that we had to talk about. The market always gives you something really cool to go over, whether it's recapping trades. We got to talk to Adara about her first week of trading, which was really, really awesome. Man, she did a great job. And I don't even know if she had anything prepared, but she certainly sounded like she had some really good, interesting notes on her first week to share with everybody. That said, didn't mention this, but we're about to go to Money Talks. If you're looking at why the dollar is strong, the ECB, or like some dude from the ECB came out talking about they are still looking for 100 points of cuts, which is strong for the USD and weak for the ECB. But let's see how it's going right now with the Adara and Money Talks.
Yeah, just continue with that. ECB Centino here basically saying that they actually could be cutting more than 100 basis points potentially. So very, very interesting look there coming out of the ECB. Also here for the USD here, the DXY. Nice look here right now. No economic data, though, to speak of. We did have that talk from Centino of the ECB, but slightly positive on the day. Couple wicks up and down here, but right now just about 106.20. No speakers today and no economic data releases, but tomorrow we do get S&P services flash, PMI flash, manufacturing PMI flash, composite PMI flash here, all at 9:45. Then 10 a.m. tomorrow, we're getting new home sales. But the biggest thing to keep an eye on here with regards to economic data releases this week, Thursday, GDP preliminary for the quarter-over-quarter number, and then Friday, PCE data. Rest of the week is going to be a little bit slower in terms of the USD heading up to those releases, guys.
Thank you very much. There you go. Like they could go more than, if they go more than a basis point and the U.S. does absolutely nothing, that's even stronger. For the USD, which we've been talking a heck of a lot about. Going back over to some of the trade, we only have 7 minutes to go this week. On this show, but this week on Learn to Trade, you're going to get a fun one. Sharif and Adara always absolutely kicking butt. I'll come through for the lesson of the day as always. I do, based on the way that this market worked out, I already know what it's going to be, and it's going to have something to do with coming in bearish and then having to be able to flip the script, and how you're able to do that, and where you should do that and where you shouldn't. But Intel, it's showing me this support at 34.30. So the fact that I like it at 34.20 doesn't matter. Oh, so much for. Okay, fine. There's your guide. It's breakout bear flag trades. I was gonna work that in because NVIDIA was a breakout bear flag, and it was looking, or a bull flag, sorry, and it was a very specific setup when it was a bearish morning. So I looked for a setup over support and resistance. But we'll talk about that in the lesson of the day. Market heading through lows. I just got a bid on Intel, so we'll be pretty happy with that. I can't complain today. It's been a pretty good morning. That said, you did have to be really, A, you had to be patient, B, you had to be willing to find the good spots to get in, and I found also willing to find a couple of long ideas out there as NVIDIA curling back into the lows. I think the chip names are looking a little suspect, and Tesla now $3.50, almost $4 in the money. I think we get that 139. This is time for me to move the trail down into 141. It can't turn into anything but a $3 winner here.
All right, we'll take the money right now as well. We'll go face slap on that one, and there it is. What's up to everybody that's out there, man? 144, multiple outs on the downside. We'll hold another piece for that dream back in, but we're going to take a piece out there at 140, and like we said, just wait. So there's a nice out on that one, and then there's ARM. I am like, honestly, that was what started out to be a real tough, not real tough. I mean, it was fine. We didn't really lose our composure or anything like that. We're able to get ARM nicely back into the downside, and that is that. So good movement there. Let's check out on Mara as we go again. Oh, okay. So here comes Mara back down into a level that we don't mind at all. So we are we have a meeting, like we said, after this. We're going to discuss the recap show, so more to come on that to see how that goes. But this is not a horrible dip by opportunity for Mara right now. So this is something to look at. We've done real well, man, so far here, making back more than 25% of our day, both on ARM and on Tesla. And we're still holding Snap, but we did really well to get out of that there. So we still have about half, maybe a little bit less than half of our Snap trade as it came back up and gave us flat. So out some there, trying to get the rest out here as we're long at 15s. And that's where we got out, 14s and then a 17. We're lucky enough to get 17. So pretty much flat on the reloads of Snap, but made back a big portion of that one to once again, make it a pretty successful day, but, red on the day. So we'll have to wait to see if there's anything else happening. What other names before we go? There's only a couple more to go here before we throw it over to the midday. I wanted to look at, a beat up name here potentially. I mean, Oracle, maybe it's not moving as much as I thought it was today. This is what it looks like on the daily because we know that this has been getting hit. 114 trying to hold out. Another name that you guys know that I like as well, that we got out of some of this one at 115, if you remember, then 118, then 121.50. So getting out of Disney when we were loading up down there near 80s and 90s, I think our average base cost was like 87 or so. So this has been a nice move up for Disney. And then we had Nelson Peltz come through, and then that was sort of a disaster. And then the other name there, as he did not get any board seats, as the other name that we saw a nice move early was Palantir up to 21. I still want to fade this name. Up 1/4 of a point here, but not at that level. I almost wrote it down. I just didn't think we were going to get to 22, but that's something for me on Palantir that we'll definitely have a look. We had a nice drop off since 22 bucks on PLTR. So make sure you hit that trade ideas. Make sure you stick with us. Only a couple more minutes left. And I did not get the what's for lunch. So this is just a tease because we don't have it yet. So if it does come in the next couple of minutes, we'll get you guys what's for lunch.
As long as it's not pasta. That's what we had last night. We did spaghetti. We had spaghetti last night. Not that we get a salad anyways. It's not like, it's just if I take something from leftovers, I prefer it not be what I had for dinner.
Yes.
I got a name that we haven't looked at, and I got a name that I like flat bottom breakouts. We talk about setups all the time, and I'm not saying this is good. Like, I'm not saying a firm is going to break this bottom. However, 30-40 looks there, and then On Friday, about 30.50 was the bottom. Today, 30.50 is the bottom. So now you got 3 days in a row, essentially, that you've held the same low. If you like the short, then when this breaks the low, or if it breaks the low, I should say, because, again, I'm not guaranteeing that a firm is going to break that bottom, I do like that look on a firm. It's going sideways on no catalyst, but we lament the days that we don't trade this when it falls apart. So why not set an alert for this if it gets back down into that 30.50 for a potential breakdown trade? With only 2 minutes to go, there's not a heck of a lot to go back over, but there have been some names that we haven't paid as much attention to. Bitcoin's holding 66,000, so that puts IBIT, I think, in a holding pattern for me. I don't like the trade. But guess what? Coinbase, again, where does Coinbase go and then turns around? It goes right into the mid 220s and it pulls back. This is resistance. Somebody's selling shares at 225, and if somebody's selling shares at 225, if you've been shorting that level, you've just been joining that seller and then been getting some profit. So I do like that on Coinbase. Not sure we have a chance to get it again today. But tomorrow, if we're not at least trying to get that one short at that level, I think it's a wasted opportunity. What else you got there? Eduardo saying a double bottom on Alphabet. It's that time of day where you can start to look for maybe some support levels to come in. Yeah, you got that wick down here, 153.50. That's essentially, you closed at 154, but there was support at 153.5 previously. I think you got to be patient with longs. You're catching a falling knife if you're looking for that bounce. Why not let it actually bounce off the level, show you some sideways or some consolidation before jumping into the long trade? When you get a reversal, when every single stock I look at, or 90% of the stocks I look at that I was interested in, are breakouts at the open and then back underneath VWAP, that doesn't have me rushing into long trades because that's trapped longs at the open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I want the stocks, and I know I'm in Snapchat, it just hasn't broken 11 yet, but like I'd rather BABA if I'm buying a dip because that's above VWAP and looking like a trend up. So I think you got to be careful, man. There's a lot of long traps at that open if you didn't get right out.
Yeah, I'm setting up all my stop orders. Thank you so much for watching us here again today. All right, let's see if this market continues to go to the downside. We just bounced off of some of those lows that we had mentioned before, that 17,150 area. So, I mean, I feel like that was a good cover on Tesla. We did well there. Snapchat's nearing that $11 mark. ARM is right here. This was my best trade, obviously, as we got the 200 period on ARM when it fell back in there. So that was pretty good. All right, thank you for watching. It's 11 o'clock. Let's go to the midday.
What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as the Midday Show. That right there is your girl Adara, and I'm Sharif.